want to play, and that was a little bit better. Lockie Rose obviously not getting it right, but it's been Western United that have started this match the better. Too much space in midfield for players to face forward and release passes, and a little bit unfortunate for Mark Natter there, just guiding it into his own net. But it's the space that they were affording Western United to play those passes, to get in behind. And they did it another couple of times as well early on, Western United, that fired the warning shots before they actually got there too. But there has been a response from the Jets. They've tightened it up a little bit in those areas, and they're starting to show a little bit more themselves going forward. A long way to go, as you said, Benny. Plenty of time on the clock to keep the Jets confident that they can get something from this game.
Well, what do you put the start of this match down to? Do you say Jets are a little bit fatigued after a big week, or Western have come out red hot?
Yeah, look, a bit of both. I think Western looked really sharp on the ball. Even Riku Danzaki, just his touch and his movement, he looked very sharp. While you're probably right in saying the Jets were a little sluggish in their movement. Yeah, a little, I guess, delayed in their recognising of the dangers before they go out and close those dangers down. And those small details can make a big difference.
I just wonder as well, Western knowing that it had been a big week for the Jets, you always want to start the match well, but I just wonder whether there was some messaging from John Aloisi pre-game thinking, boys, they're going to be a little bit tired, let's go out really hard, let's not let them get into this match, and they certainly have done that. And then all of a sudden, mentally, it's such a tough ask, especially on this kind of warm afternoon.
I also wonder if the Jets, when they do travel down to Melbourne midweek, do they travel from Newcastle Airport or Sydney Airport? It can make a big difference to travel, just to add that extra couple of hours in the bus coming from Sydney. All these things that can be taken into consideration to try and make it easier for your team, to lessen the travel burden. We heard Mile Sturjovski say that he likes to travel down on the day with his team. He says for them from Sydney, it's an hour flight to Melbourne, and they're there. So now, try and refer it to in Europe, you might sit on the bus for a couple of hours to travel to an away game. He sees an hour flight, it's no problem to do on the day. But when you think, add up those little details on travelling. Do they travel from Newcastle? Well, it's an hour and a half flight, but it takes out the hour and a half bus journey each way as well.
Well, Tristan McManus is sidelined for us today. Tristan, how are you going down sideline? It's a little bit cooler now.
Yeah, boys, it's definitely a little bit cooler.
We'll just stick with this for the moment. Grimaldi, his cross, underway by Grozos. And now Wilmering. Always is the way, Tristan. We throw down to you, and then chances usually forthcoming will go back to you.
They don't want to hear me either.
Grozos. Nosray. I think you're right, Tristan. Go for it.
Yeah, good. Look, it's definitely cooled down, but it's still fierce hot in here. And you can see everything. Just looking at the Jets bench here. Rob Stanton's always quite animated, but whether they're 2-0 up or 2-0 down, he still wants the same. He wants them to go forward. The fans here are always very, very demanding. He wants Cancard to come out a lot wider, to stretch it an awful lot. But I think he was just kind of shell-shocked a little bit. Usually that the drinks break might be breaking everything down, but hopefully you can compartmentalize and kind of go, right, let's make sure we win this 15 minutes, and then we can worry about the next.
Danzaki again in behind. And Mark Natter in communication there with his keeper. And Danzaki's delivery that time was overcooked.
Well, that's something that the Jets need to address, is this, well, their right-hand side. Riku Danzaki is getting in behind with too much time and space for Rob Stanton's liking and the Jets fans' liking. It's 2 or 3 times now he's really got in space, been able to get his head up, pick a pass. But that also comes from the pressure in midfield. Don't allow them to get their head up and pick that pass.
Turned over again by Newcastle. The pressure from Western so intense. They have an opportunity here if they can move it quickly. Eli Adams and Timmins. Here is Aquilina. And he hits it via a deflection. This could be a corner. And it will be for Newcastle. Lockie Rose trying to get his side up and about here.
It wasn't a bad idea from Thomas Aquilina. Well, we saw him earlier when he took on Charmoon and just left him for dead. I think he should be thinking, every time that ball comes to me, I'm just going to bounce it in behind you and I'm going to run and I'm going to test you and I'm going to get you on the back foot.
Grozos curling it away. Ibasuki with the defensive header. Spills here for Eli Adams. The delivery comfortable for Matt Sutton. For a moment, Kankar thought he was in the game, but the breeze just took it to the Western goalkeeper. Leonard, going to keep that in play. So you look at these two goalkeepers as well in Sutton v Noah James, two keepers who had to bide their time for a while. Noah James 24, Sutton 25. 4 clean sheets for Matt Sutton this campaign. Noah James with 3 now. Don't forget after this one, Sydney FC and Wellington Phoenix. 6:55 p.m. on Paramount Plus. Really important one for Sydney. They are still well and truly in that race for the top 6. They want to try and secure that over the coming weeks because they are fighting on a couple of fronts. The AFC Champions League 2, they're taking on Lion City Sailors in the semi-finals of that competition. So that one straight after this match. Wellington Phoenix, well, it's getting into last chance saloon territory for them. Really doing it tough at the moment. And there's a slip from Wilmering. Invites Imai. And the strength almost allowed him to get around Bayliss, who just got his body and put enough pressure on Imai to ensure it's a goal kick.
Well, he's a strong character, isn't he, Tomoki Imai, but also physically just got away from him there. Ricky Bayliss just did enough. He left one in his wake. Ricky Bayliss is almost number 2.
Newcastle looking to play out Western to try and pinch it back. And they're going to earn themselves a throw here, Western. As far as Shamoon. Danzaki staying out of it as he knew he was offside. But he's really getting back towards that form we saw from him in those early days of his A-League career with Brisbane, where he was initially on loan. He's been excellent, but right now, a little on the back foot. Clayton Taylor slipping it, or trying to slip it in front of Rose. It bounces back for Taylor. And Dylan Leonard will eventually come to the rescue, but Tomoki Imai, what an outstanding defender he is. And that is going to be a really tough ask for Clayton Taylor, who plays out on the left for Newcastle, versus Imai. This is going to be a really, really tough assignment as Bayliss earns a set piece. And Newcastle looked to play it on quickly, but Daniel Elder saying it wasn't taken from the spot.
Angus Thurgate just letting Clayton Taylor know he's there.
Bayliss, I think.
Bayliss, was it? Sorry.
Sorry, they do look similar. Adams. Pass fired at him. Timmins flips it up this time for Eli Adams, who's out there on that right edge. And And Timmins is hitting it, and Donachie had to stick out a boot. So this is as bright a period Newcastle have had in this game.
Well, they look much better when they play into their 10s, don't they? Into these areas. That's a wonderful ball from Timmins. Kilo items perfectly weighted, and he's just looking for Lockie Rose, who's peeling off the back shoulder there.
Definitely got to have belief in themselves, considering a 7-match undefeated run. There's a reason why they've been able to go on that kind of crusade up the ladder. Bayless, and cutting it across. That could have gone anywhere. It's another corner for Newcastle. It was well worked from the short corner.
One straight out of the training park there. Little reverse pass. Little drive in with space in front.
So again, the wind helping this corner on the inswing of Brozos. This time deeper, and Kankar was making a good run, but in the end he didn't attack it.
Well, it just was as though he felt the ball wasn't going to come to him. You always have to be prepared. Just have to expect that everyone's going to miss it. And I think it was Angus Thurgate who got up in front of him, and he just thought maybe he was going to get his head a little shake of his own head there, realising you've just got to expect that. Always plan that everyone in front's going to miss it.
So now it's Western United looking to play out. How's the pressure of Newcastle? And find Botic, Iwasuki, and Grimaldi. Botic taking on Timmins on the outside. Timmins has done well there. It's not going to cross the goal line for him, but he's beautifully worked that situation. Then Taylor onto Rose. Couldn't escape the pressure of Donachie. But they got themselves out of a sticky situation there, Newcastle. Forcing Weston back to Sutton. And Danzaki, this is a battle Kankar doesn't want to get into too often. Danzaki curling. James has to punch. Only as far as Thurgate, who got a little nudge. Spills to Bozanovski. Time to shoot! Oh, what a hit from Reece Bozanovski. He's got 2 goals in his last 2 matches. But that is one for the highlights reel.
Oh, what a strike that was. Like a rocket. On the Harvey Norman replay as it comes out. Gets it out of his feet, and he's got one thing on his mind. Get it onto that right foot. It's one bounce, and it's right in the corner. Lots of bodies in front of Noah James. I'm wondering, it's a little unsighted. There's nothing he can do there. And Reece Bozanovski lets the cannon go, and it's 3-0.
Well, if it was one of those days for Newcastle on Wednesday, it's certainly the opposite of that today, because everything Western United are touching is turning to gold, and they've got a 3-0 lead at the drinks break. And let's head down and check in with Tristan McManus. Tristan, the air's just been sucked out of the stadium once again.
Yeah, once again, that's exactly it. And for that second 15 minutes, I mean, Jets were getting themselves back into it. Kankar was coming out a bit wider, blocking up that space that you talked about with Danzaki. Again, the 10s were getting on the ball. Eli Adams was giving a bit more to Shamoon there as well. But just when you felt like they needed to try and get one goal back, just like Wanderers did last night, the 28th minute, they go 3-0 up. Yeah, really devastating start to this game by Jets. But like I said, with Rob Stanton, he knows what he wants. He tries to get the same. He doesn't get carried away. He's been talking to us about the form that Jets are in. He won't get carried away whether everyone else does. He's still giving the same instructions there. He's got stealth in Botic's eyes today. And Western know what they want to do, and they're coming down and getting the job done.
And what's very interesting about this is in the match before this one, Auckland were held by the Mariners, a 2-2 draw. So Western on the live ladder, it is 4 points. The gap between them and Auckland FC. And who would have thought that at the start of the season, Daniel McCrane? Just a reminder as well, Thursday, 7:30 on Network 10, Socceroos and Indonesia. What a critical match that is. Australia second in the group, Indonesia third. Aussies on 7 points, Indonesia 6, as is 4th, 5th and 6th. It is a tightrope walk. It's a big match in Sydney. And then they play China on Tuesday, so you do not want to miss that. We're back underway after the drinks break and after Newcastle have conceded a third goal. Eli Adams punching it on to Aquilina.
Well, that third goal really has sucked the air out of the stadium, hasn't it? Newcastle was starting to look like they were getting a handle on the game, starting to play some football that Rob Stanton wants them to play, playing into midfield, into Eli Adams, Lockie Bayliss, like we are here.
Bayliss looking up and deciding to shoot. Danzaki in behind again. Noah Botic, he could be in for a double. Danzaki goes himself and hits the post. Well, is that the moment that potentially wakes Newcastle up, because they've gone into a slumber again here and they are staring down the barrel of a very sickening scoreline if it continues this way.
Well, again, it's Riku Danzaki getting in behind Philip Kankar. Have a look here, the ball inside Philip Kankar again, and look at the acres of space for Danzaki. He had two options there, go himself, or Noah Botic was at the far post.
Okay. Well, the Newcastle Jets, this is their active support. They are lacking energy now. Is probably the best way to describe it after the third goal. Grimaldi and Ibasuki. I just wanted to make that point, Macca. Who was the player that cleared the ball away when it hit the post? The Newcastle Jets player. It was Lockie Rose, the striker. He was the one showing the intent to get back and make that clearance. Now I think that tells a story in itself.
Well, while you were explaining that, we've just seen Western United, this time it's Ibasuki, get in behind Kankar again. A ball inside the defender to an outside player and another cross in the box. It is an easy out at the moment for Western United.
The question for the tactician, does something have to change for Newcastle? Do they have to adjust? Because Danzaki v Kankar is...
It's not working.
No.
They're getting way too much joy, Western United, down this side. And it's a back three. Maybe it needs help. Maybe it needs to go to a back four to allow another player there to close up that space.
Eli Adams tries to pinch it off Donachie. Well, that is a very interesting decision.
Well, it's a cliff.
Lots of frustration from the home fans, especially from Eli Adams as well. Brozos and Taylor. Well, Newcastle, when they played Western United back in January, also it was a really short turnaround for them. They were down 3-0 in that one. They lost 3-1. Lockie Rose pulled back a goal for the Jets on that occasion. Here is Botic in behind, drives it across, 4-0 for Western United. They are being ripped apart, Newcastle. 4 goals inside 35 minutes, and Riku Danzaki with number 4 this season.
And well, we just spoke about the left-hand side for Western United with Riku Danzaki. It was almost a mirror image down the right-hand side. Defender pulled out of place. Ball in behind on the Harvey Norman replay, and Botic has a simple task of just firing across the 6-yard box where Danzaki is waiting gleefully. And this could get ugly very quickly for the Jets if they don't sort it out. Western United are having a field day.
Well, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist, Macca, to tell you that Newcastle have to fix up something defensively, because they're playing with the back three, so Wilmering and Aquilina are pushing higher. And I think that they are going to adjust this. Charles Mombour is going to come on after 36 minutes. How are they going to readjust? Because we're seeing Wilmering and Aquilina push so high, the space in behind is just enormous for Western. So how does Rob Stanton and his coaching staff address this? Who is going to be forced off against Clayton Taylor? One of their key attacking weapons. He's been blunted today. And Mombour is on. And we'll have a look at this. That's a tough moment for him. Ryan Scott comes across and just gives him some comfort, but that's a really tough one, being hooked after 36 minutes. And there were certainly some words from Rob Stanton as Clayton Taylor went to sit down. It didn't look like the happiest of conversations, as you'd anticipate. And then Tamir Pradanović's assistant went and said a few further things. So be interested to know what that conversation involved. There's Aquilina taking on Shamoon. Really strong defensive work. What a week ahead for him, going off with the Iraqi senior team for the first time, part of those World Cup qualifiers. Massive moment for Shamoon. Tough afternoon for Rob Stanton.
Well, just looking at Western United's recent matches, they've got 4 here already, and we're not even 40 minutes into the match. 4 in their last against the Knicks, 3 against the Central Coast, 3 against Adelaide. They're in red-hot form. And if the Jets don't do something major here to change things, it could get worse, because they are finding space and forward runners at will.
Well, what would your adjustment be? Would you go to a back four and have the wing backs sitting a little deeper? Because that's where the issues are coming. Out wide in those pockets.
Yeah, there's also the issue of them not winning the ball and not closing the space in midfield, which is why I think Rob Stanton's gone with a Charles Mombour over a Clayton Taylor. And more of a ball-winning midfielder to try and close down the space there and close down the opportunities to play those balls forward. Because it's all good and well to say, well, the back three are getting picked apart, but what's happening in front of them as well?
So Newcastle Jets at this point staring down the barrel of potentially biggest loss at home category. 6-1 against Perth Glory back in January 2016. 5-0 against Brisbane, January 2006. Those are their 2 biggest losses here at McDonald Jones Stadium. There's pride on the line here for the Jets. Wilmering and Mombour just out-hustled. Rozos, the captain, trying to step in. That's a great win by Cal Timmins. Looking for Lockie Rose. Shamoon. Again, excellent defensively. But he's given it away there to Aquilina. He did all the hard work. And now Eli Adams is shooting, but he's blocked off by Bozanovski.
Well, that's great reactions from Bozanovski. Eli Adams had just found a little bit of space. Closed it down quickly, snuffed any danger out.
Just sensing that little bit of added desperation from Western United. Bayless linking with Rose. Look at this. How many block strikes of Newcastle are we seeing here from Western? Just that desperation is so impressive from the green and black. You can obviously see tight-knit unit. 4th best defence in the league, which was actually equal with Newcastle before this match. Both had conceded 28 goals. It's not the case anymore. Aquilina nudges it past Shamoon and cuts it back, but again, there's a player in green to clear it over the sideline. I feel like it's part of the difference as well. Newcastle creating these pockets of space, creating these half chances, but Western, desperation in the box. Here's another one potentially. Eli Adams looking for Aquilina. Well, we saw 5-4 Macca on Friday night.
Well, I'm sure we'd all take a 5-4 here as well. Plenty of goals in the A-League. Plenty this weekend. I can't say that the league isn't entertaining. Always provides some thrilling action.
Well, I'm thinking we must be getting close to most goals in a round contention. Well, we had 9 on Friday, 6. We have 4. We'll come back to that. Eli Adams. Bayless. And Matt Sutton. Great goalkeeping again this season from him to deny Lockie Bayless. But Newcastle again having a patch here.
Yeah, nice football all round, and it's a wonderful strike. Need a better save. Full stretch. Fingertip save from Matt Sutton.
Jets looking to add to the 27 goals we've seen this round already. And they're not going to do so here because it's Grimaldi who scored a double last week. Trying to hunt down another one this afternoon. He's sending Wilmering this way and that. And from Newcastle having a corner, it's now Western with their chance from the set piece.
Well, the run from Noah Botic there to get into a goal-scoring position was fantastic. And if the pass went maybe one step earlier, he may have found himself eye-to-eye with Noah James again. And to be fair to the Jets, he had 3 gold shirts hunting him down.
So Thurgate. The wind pushing this one away. It's a terrific delivery. Chaos in the 6-yard box, and Newcastle potentially lucky it's not 5. Because Noah Botic's header, excellent again. Thurgate back in towards Ibasuki. You can hear some frustrated home fans with a message for their side. It's going to be intriguing to see when half-time is called how the home fans react to this scoreline. Shamoon. Thurgate looking for that pocket of space. Shamoon turns it to Thurgate. Time to pick the cross. And you thought that Ibasuki was just going to rise up and make it 5. He had that much time, Angus Thurgate.
You see that pass from Lockie Bayless is sloppy as well. He hasn't committed the defender and he just rolls it to his teammate, who then gets in a battle. But you're right, Benny, again, as we see 5 minutes of additional time go up. Again, Western United in those wider areas are finding plenty of space in behind, aren't they?
So Rob Stanton on the sideline is actually having a chat to Alex Shush now. He's also sending Dane Ingham to potentially go into the tunnel or get himself prepared. You would sense that they're going to be substituted on in the second half. Some experienced heads for the Jets. Tom Aquilina is being asked to go back and take it from the spot. Timmins. Aquilina. Couldn't get it past Riku Danzaki, who's stood up to his defensive responsibilities. Shamoon. Tempers running high on a very warm Newcastle afternoon. Imite going to outpace Rose. Do well to achieve that. Burgate. Calmly back to Sutton. It's a bit of pinball everywhere at the moment. Imite. Sutton clearing it away for the second time in this little passage of play. Mombois and Eli Adams and Lockie Rose offside, so he couldn't get himself involved, and frustration evident on the Newcastle number 9.
Well, if you're just not to have seen this first half and you were deciding to just have a look at the stats, you might think, well, this is quite a close contest. The Jets, more possession, they've got more passes, they've got 7 shots to Western United's 8. The stats don't look too bad. The big stat difference is on target, 2 to 7. And obviously, the number one stat that means the most is 4-0. They've just been ruthless, Western United.
But also, one thing that stats don't tell you is intent and desperation defensively. And you can only pick that via the eye. And Western have had that, Newcastle haven't. And they have been royally punished. Well, this is going to be interesting. What kind of reception are the Jets going to get at half-time as they head down the tunnel? Because there have been plenty of fans yelling out at them in the last 20 minutes or so. Very frustrated. They've paid their money. They've come into the ground, and 4-0 is the scoreline at half-time.
Well, let's just say it's not going to be a guard of honour, is it? And look, it's been a team that's done well. 7 games undefeated. We know all about that. They've been ruthlessly exposed by Western United today, who are in wonderful form, sitting second on the table and eyeing Auckland for the top.
Botic. Ibasuki. And fumbled by Noah James and cleared away by Grozos. You thought it couldn't get worse, but it very nearly did. Remembering, as I mentioned before, Newcastle's biggest home defeat, a 5-goal margin. Not far away from that. And Western look as though they could score a few more. Not saying that Newcastle haven't looked likely. They have. They have created chances. But defensively, extremely fragile. Porcelain-like, you would say. Wilmering. Hanging it up. Rose. And it's a goal kick. And that is half-time here in Newcastle. Frustration on the Jets bench. Frustration in the stands. They cannot quite believe it. Their team on a 7-match undefeated run coming into this. Well, they have run into a red-hot and a rampant Western United. Reece Bozanovsky with a spectacular goal. Now a Botic on the score sheet. Riku Danzaki as well. Half-time at McDonald Jones Stadium. Newcastle Jets 0, Western United 4. And Tristan will be back right after the break with the halftime show.
That's your backup there. That's your backup.
تتابعون ضمن الدوري التركي لكرة الطائرة للسيدات، كما يلقب بدوري السلاطين، وهو أفضل دوري للسيدات في تركيا والعالم. غالاتا سراي مع كوزيبورو الأربعاء 6 مساء على دبي الرياضية.
أهلا بكم مشاهدينا الكرام في استاد الدوري.
في استاد الدوري
الشارقة في الدوري ليس هو الشارقة اللي يفترض عليه.
يجتمع أفضل المحللين والخبراء في عالم المستديرة.
لاعب بطريقة مختلفة لأول مرة يلعب فيها.
يتناقشون،
إذا يتعادلوا يطلعوا الاثنين من المنافسة.
يحللون.
الأرقام بالنسبة للفريق المنافس متقاربة مع أرقام فريق نادي الوصل. يلعب باثنين محاور 6.
يقدمون آرائهم التي تسلط الضوء على منافسات دوري المحترفين والكرة الإماراتية. استاد الدوري على دبي الرياضية.
هنا في الملعب الأولمبي ببرلين في العاصمة الألمانية. ومحاولة الهجمة الأولى. تسديدة. هل يأتي هدف ثاني؟
تابعوا الموسم الجديد من كأس ألمانيا على دبي الرياضية.
راشد بن سعيد معلمي الأول، أبي، ذكرياتي الأجمل.
يا سندنا ومضينا ورافعنا.
يا أبوي رمز المجد والعز والدين والمرجلة والمقدرة والشهامة.
علي مبخوت. الله الله، علي مبخوت يتقدم علي، يسجل بعيد المنال إلا مع مبخوت.
سيكون الهدف الذي سيوقع من خلاله على المئوية الثانية. الآن علي لمصلحة الجزيرة. الله، مبخوت تراوري عرضية خطيرة أمام المرمى. هداف دورينا التاريخي لا يغيب عن هذه القمم. ولكن والنقلات وحذاري من الأخطاء. أنت تخطي أمام علي مبخوت، تخطي أمام علي مبخوت يعني يتسجل في مرماك. لا تخطئوا أمام الهداف الكبير. سجل يا تاريخ.
الله 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 الله، مبخوت مبخوت مبخوت. وصلت إلى بوزيلو، جاء بالكرة. الله 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 الله، بكل هدوء أهداف علي مبخوت. ماركت علي مبخوت، لمسات علي مبخوت.
إنه مبخوت الأرقام، مبخوت التاريخ، مبخوت الأرقام القياسية.
الانطلاقة الأولى راح تكون مع الهواء المواطنين والعد التنازلي، وعلى بركة الله تعالى ننطلق في هذه اللحظات بالانطلاقة الشرفية. عضو اللجنة الفنية يرفع العلم الآن في هذه الأثناء، وهي الانطلاقة الشرفية إلى أن نصل إلى نقطة الانطلاقة الرسمية للسباق. مسافة السباق هذا اليوم هي مسافة 77 كيلو متر. هناك الدورات 5 دورات كما نشاهد الآن في هذه اللحظات. هنا الكوكبة في الأمام، فريق التركم 7 نلاحظ أحمد عبيد المري ماخذ مكانه في المقدمة. كل التوفيق والأمنيات لهذا الفريق. يتواجد أيضا في هذه الانطلاقة كما نشاهد الآن هنا فريق شرطة دبي. فريق شرطة دبي يتواجد بكامل العناصر في هذا اليوم. فريق الوثبة أيضا يتواجد، فريق تورك، الجميع في مقدمة السباق في هذه اللحظات. نتمنى كل التوفيق للدراجين المشاركين، ما شاء الله أعداد كبيرة هائلة. الآن كما نلاحظ فريق الوثبة أيضا اليوم محمد عبد الله الحمادي أصغر المتسابقين من هذه الفئة، فئة الهواة 19 سنة، حمد العبيدلي وسلطان عبد الله الحمادي، عيسى الرميثي، محمد أحمد الحمادي، أيضا حسين الحمادي ومسعود الظاهري، محمد المرزوقي، هزاع الحساني، وبقيادة سليمان الحمادي. العلم لا زال مرفوع، ونشوف أيضا فريق اليوم تورك يحاول أن يتمركز في المقدمة. فريق شرطة دبي نشوف سعيد حسن صفر، ماجد البلوشي، بالإضافة إلى حارب إبراهيم البلوشي. نلاحظ أيضا هنا هذا الفريق عناصره اليوم قوية، نشوف حارب إبراهيم، وأيضا بالإضافة إلى ماجد عبد الرحيم، عبد الله محمد حسن. شرطة دبي فازوا بالفرقي والفردي فريقين السيدات والرجال في بطولة السلم، وهي أقوى بطولة حصل عليها فريق شرطة دبي للرجال والسيدات بالنسبة لهذه البطولات هنا في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة. أما بالنسبة لفئة الآن كما نشاهد هنا الهواء المواطنين، بالنسبة لهذا المكان شرطة دبي ما حققت المركز الأول لحد الآن. لحد الآن ما عندها رصيد فوز في هذا المكان للرجال، فهي تبحث عن الرجال. بالأمس كان هناك حمزة ياسين وكان معه أيضا المتسابق الآخر نسيم سعيدي اللي حققوا المركزين الرابع والخامس. لحد الآن ما عندهم فوز بالنسبة للرجال، فوز مركز أول، لكن عندهم المركز الثالث كان سعيد صفر، وأيضا في الأعوام الماضية كان تواجد لشرطة دبي. أما اليوم نشوف شرطة دبي مو موجودة في المنافسة هنا بالنسبة للرجال على الأعوام الماضية، لكن الآن تحاول بقوة عن طريق العناصر اللي موجودة. هذه الكوكبة اللي فيها السيدات، لاحظ هذه السيدات الآن هنا، هذه كوكبة المتسابقات بدأت تتقلص الآن نوعا ما. نلاحظ لا زالت شرطة دبي هي من تسيطر ومحاولة خروج من الكوكبة. عملية الأتاكات مستمرة هنا في هذه اللحظات. صفية الصايغ تتماسك، شيخة عيسى تتماسك، نشوف أيضا التماسك موجود لزهرة حسين وهدى حسين. برافو هذه دينا وهذه هنا هدى حسين بالصورة تتماسك في هذا المكان، وأيضا زهرة للمنتين من نادي أبو ظبي. شوف اللون الأحمر والأبيض، وهذا الأداء الجميل حقيقة لبناتنا في فئة الجونيور وومن. هدى حسين معاها الآن نشوف أيضا دينا إهلاسي، وأيضا نلاحظ الآن في منافسة قوية. شرطة دبي راح يدخلون بوديوم بهذه الصورة، معاهم أيضا مايوش وفريق نادي أبو ظبي للدراجات. نشوف هالة محمد الآن موجودة، أم ناصر موجودة اللي حققت المركز الثاني باللون الأبيض. خلاص إلى خط الوصول، ونبارك إذن في هذه اللحظات. إذن 400 متر أخيرة إلى خط الوصول، ونجاح كبير لشرطة دبي. شرطة دبي تحقق المراكز الأولى، الثلاثة الأولى الآن بهذه اللحظات. نبارك وألف مبروك إلى معالي الفريق عبد الله خليفة المري. إذن فوز كبير في هذا اليوم مع ثلاثي لأول مرة، الأول إلى الثالث شرطة دبي. العام الماضي كان المركز الأول، الآن في هذا اليوم المركز الأول والثاني والثالث لفريق شرطة دبي. التقدم الآن والفوز بالمراكز الثلاثة الأولى واللعب على اللقب ما بين المتسابقتين الآن من شرطة دبي في هذه اللحظات، الفئة المفتوحة. ونقول ألف مبروك إذن في هذه الأثناء فوز المتسابقة الكازاخستانية مرة أخرى. إذن أوسيم معها ريناتا على المركزين الأول والثاني. إذن بطلة آسيا تتواجد في هذه البطولة وتفوز من فريق شرطة دبي. نبارك لشرطة دبي، نبارك أيضا لمعالي الفريق عبد الله خليفة المري قائد عام شرطة دبي، ولكل العاملين في هذا الفريق، وأيضا إدارة الشؤون الرياضية. الدخول الأخير هنا بالنسبة لفئة السيدات، الفئة المفتوحة، ونقول مبروك المركزين الأول للفرق والأول للفرد. يعني عندك مركزين الآن، الأول فرق، الأول فردي لشرطة دبي. ونقول ألف مبروك لهذا الفريق اللي تميز من خلال البطولة. وكانت المفاجأة الكبيرة أيضا في بطولة النخبة، في بطولة السلم للموسم 2022 للسيدات، عندما فازت أولغا بالمركز الأول متقدمة على فريق شباب الليلي والعناصر من هذا الفريق، وهم عناصر من فئة الاحتراف. نقول مبروك لشرطة دبي في أقوى السباقات تتواجد وتنافس. التقدم واضح لشرطة دبي، شرطة دبي تحاول أن تتقدم. فرح المري مع
Welcome back to McDonald Jones Stadium. No surprises. The Newcastle Jets down 4-0 and they are ringing the changes at halftime. Alex Shushnia, he comes on. So too does Dane Ingham. The men replaced Phil Kankar, Daniel Wilmering. So straight swatches there. Actually, we are just confirming that switch has been changed around. So it's Mark Natter, not Phil Kankar, who actually hasn't emerged from the dressing room at the moment. Having a look, Newcastle, Daniel McBreen, we cannot see Kankar or Natter out there for the Jets. So Phil Kankar and Mark Natter are both off. Now, Wilmering is still on. Okay, so finally we've got that sorted. Okay, so it's Kankar and Natter. So Shushnia going into the centre of defence, and Ingham's going to play out on the right. Well, it's a big ask for the Jets. And Western United to get a start in the second half. So Iwasuki gets us started in the second 45. Western United with a 4-0 lead. And looking to inflict the Jets' biggest home defeat, which is 5 goals. Twice they've suffered that. The Jets trying to restore some pride in this second half, Daniel McCrane.
Well, it'll be one of the greatest comebacks of all time if they can get something out of this game. But you're right, it's more about pride now. The mentality would be, right at half-time, it's 0-0. Let's see if we can go and win the second half. And then from there, you never know. If you get an early goal, maybe you can start to see light at the end of the tunnel. But it's about winning the second half now. The changes have been made. And they have to go out there and give this Newcastle crowd something to cheer about.
From Aldi. It's a poor turnover. Lockie Rose able to pounce on it for the Jets. Here is Ingham, one of his first involvements. Is to try and find Momwa, who was brought on with about 10 minutes to go in the first half for Clayton Taylor. Aquilina moving it forward. Eli Adams with a scuff strike on goal. So that reshuffle for Newcastle. Aquilina has dropped into the back three. And Ingham was pushed further up the pitch. So we've got two of those initial back three that have come on. Shush now also on for Kankar. So that's how Rob Stanton has reshuffled it here in the second half. And Aquilina has been playing as part of that back three previously. It's just the return of Kankar on Wednesday, which meant that he pushed higher up the pitch into that right wing-back role. Timmins. And Eli Adams shaping to shoot, linking with Wilmering, and closed off by Imai, who has been excellent this afternoon, Tomoki Imai.
Yeah. Just there again, Eli Adams, if he rolls that before he shapes to shoot, the dummy wasn't needed. It just gave Imai an extra few yards to close down Wilmering, who received the pass. If he plays it one step earlier, well, he might get that cross in. Imai slides across, holds the pass, the moment's gone.
Rose, closed off by Leonard. And Longwood came in to help out his teammate. Timmins. And strike deflected away. Aquilina searching for Wilmering. Unable to keep that from crossing the sideline. Well, he's a man that can pull Newcastle back into this match, Eli Adams, with something special. We saw that last Sunday against Auckland. But how much is left in the legs? That big shift on Wednesday. Aquilina going back and getting a touch for Ingham. So, Macro, I think everyone is going to... I think Rob Stanton's going to bring this up post-game. 4-0 scoreline after another hectic week for the Jets. He's going to mention the draw and how many matches in a week. But I'll come back to you on after this little opportunity is changes for the Jets. There was only one before this match. Conwa's heavy touch. Able to cut it back just over the head of Rose. Spills for Ingham. His attempted strike is blocked off by Shamoon. There was no real squad refresh this afternoon after Wednesday. It has happened in the second half, and one of those is providing the pass to Wilmering. Donachie angles it away. Fresh legs of Shush now. Now Timmins at the shape towards Ingham. And Bianzaki has an air swing at the first attempt. All the pressure here on Western United, but they do have a 4-goal buffer. Aquilina driving it in. Donachie clearing.
So was there a question for me there, Benny, about the rotation, or were we going to ask Rob after the game? It's a question for him.
Well, I know that it's going to get brought up about the draw, and that's one question. It's Matt Sutton, that's a good claim. And it's fair to bring that up as well, because the Jets played 3 games in a week. They had 2 weeks off before that. Now they've got 2 weeks off. Now, you can understand Rob Stanton's frustration. The only question I've got for you is, would you have rotated your squad more after Wednesday?
Well, it was a Herculean effort, wasn't it, on Wednesday? And you're right, you've got to, across the course of the season, you do have to utilise the squads, rotate where you see fit. But there must have been a reason why he stuck with the team. That's been a quirk of the draw this year, that teams will have 2 weeks off and then, as you say, play 3 games in a week. That's modern day football. As I said, I think on the call last week, these players, a lot of them, the young ones, have ambitions of going overseas into Europe or South America. Well, they play a lot more games, and it's the norm to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday for a long periods of the season. And yes, we do have travel in Australia. It's a big country. And as we said before, I'll let this go here.
Deflection favours Thurgate, flipping it into the box. Bills now for Grimaldi. Well, Ombwa had the handover. Noah James has got the punch. Back to Bozanovsky. What about his afternoon? Spectacular goal in the first half. He repeats the dose in the second. Everything is coming up trumps for Western United this afternoon. And they can high-five because it is 5-0 here in Newcastle.
Well, on the Harvey Norman replay, Reece Bozanovsky let fly with the first one, and Noah James palms it away. He's first to react. Scored with his right foot from distance earlier. Shows he can do just the same with his left here. Both finding the bottom corner. And it just gets better and better for Western United.
So his first career double. He got one last week against Wellington.
And he's loving it, isn't he?
He's absolutely loving it. And that man is hating it. Having a chat to his assistant, Damir Pradanovic. But honestly, Macca, it just feels like one of those afternoons where everything Western United touch turns to gold. And I'm not saying that, you know, literally it's all down to luck and nothing else, because they, as they say, you work hard, you get luck.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, let's just have a look at the shot there on that last goal. Noah James palms it out. There's gold shirts everywhere. Reece Bozanovsky reacts quickest and gets his shot away quick enough before anyone can get the block away. He was sharper, crisper, more determined, and he's put it away. And that's probably been the story of the day.
Bozanovsky, he's looking for a hat-trick. He wants the match ball, Reece Bozanovsky. He's turning provider here. So this is the equal worst home defeat as it stands currently for Newcastle. A 5-goal loss. Dane Ingham is urged forward. Delivers it just on the stretch to Rose. Eli Adams is striding after it. Oh, that's a lovely delivery from Eli Adams, but it was smothered initially by Sutton. Adams back on the ball. And Timmins just beaten to it by Bozanovsky. Shushnia and Mombois. Adams, a little bit of treatment late. Bayliss has got time to pick his spot. And he's not finding the bottom corner. It will be a corner kick. Was there a touch here from Sutton?
No, it's a goal kick.
It's a goal kick, I'm sorry. But I'm just saying, Macra, as Eli Adams has been collected late, well, Reece Bozanovsky, it's involved here. It did happen just slightly off the ball. So I didn't catch exactly what happened. Well, it was actually Leonard and then Bozanovsky. Well, I think Bozanovsky put on a bit of a show there. But I was just going to say, Macca, if that strike from Bayliss, if that was Reece Bozanovsky, that would have been in the bottom corner this afternoon.
Well, that's the way it's been going. Dylan Leonard's about to receive a yellow card here, I think, for the challenge. Yep.
So his third of the season. No problems. This is the 20th match for Western, so 5 yellow cards means a suspension. And then, actually, no, reverse that. They've played 20 matches, so we won't worry about that, Macca.
It's been a big day, Ben.
It's one of those.
There's goals going in everywhere.
And Eli Adams is getting himself sorted, so I want to keep him out there because he, for one, is looking like some kind of a threat for Newcastle. It looks as though Will Dobson is being readied, so maybe Eli Adams is going to be wrapped up in cotton wool here. Not that they play for a couple of weeks, the Jets. They've got MacArthur away from home. So who will it be here? Will Dobson is going to replace Eli Adams. No, it's a tough one for the local boy who's coming on here. Eli Adams. He hasn't played since mid-February, but he's going to get a good stint off the bench. He actually came off the bench against Western and grabbed an assist for that Lockie Rose goal back in January in that 3-1 defeat for the Jets against Western. A whole lot worse this afternoon, though, as he looks up at the scoreboard as he runs on, down 5-0. Shushnia and Bayliss. Mombois is now pressured. I do not think I've heard a more silent crowd here in Newcastle, Macca. It is like a graveyard. Look at the active support.
Yeah, that sums it up, doesn't it? I guess it's even more deflating off the back of their recent form, the run, a little bit of optimism around finals football. As unlikely as it may have been, there was a glimmer of hope, there was a chance. The team seemed to be on the up. Obviously, injury to Kurta Numa hasn't helped either. He's been such an inspiration since turning up at the club. Informed that he may be out for one more week after this one. Hopefully back the week after. But then just to come out and be on the end of 5-0 as we head into the 60th minute.
So first drinks break of this second half. I wonder as well, Macca, the future of Rob Stanton, right? So you've got John Aloisi, his future is up in the air, and speaking of the club, they're in negotiations at the moment. But John Aloisi has publicly said, I'm happy with how things are progressing. Whereas it's the opposite from the Newcastle side of things. And we've heard that conversation and the questions being asked of Rob Stanton. And we know there was a contract signed back end of last year. It was signed, but apparently it's off the table at the moment. And whether Rob Stanton is at the club next year, you wonder the impact that can have on the playing group. And it didn't look like it was having an impact when you're on a 7-match unbeaten run, but when you're down 5-0 and you're down 4-0 after 35 minutes, those questions are going to rear their head.
Well, they will, yeah, of course. And all that really came to light in the last 7 to 10 days, didn't it? After being on that run, a couple of good results in the last week as well. And then that little bit of instability, just a question mark of, well, will he or won't he be here? All of a sudden you start to think, well, has that had an effect? Now, who knows? You know, we're not privy to the inner workings behind the scenes. You know, there's some talks of Rob's not happy with staffing and that kind of stuff, and the club, other side, there's another side to the story. The club said, well, it's been on the table for ages and it's not really been committed. So there's always two sides to every story.
But one angle that has to be spoken about is the frustration from Jets fans that another coach that has the team performing well is potentially walking out the door. And how often has it happened? Let's not go into that wormhole mid-match, but it's a frustration here. Newcastle, can they get a consolation goal? Lockie Rose, it's another block shot. This time it's James Donachie. Dobson getting on the outside, hooking it back. Wilmering, and he has spooned that over the bar. Let's go to the sideline. Tristan McManus, what did you hear from that drinks break?
Well, that's exactly it, guys. Look, I don't want to say there was an air of resignation about it, but certainly there was a perspective from Rob Stanton there. They need Timmins and they need Bayliss to try and take a little bit more control over here. He said, you can hear the fans, you can hear what they're saying. You need to give them something, you know. They certainly don't feel as though they're going to win this game, but they need to give the fans something. Midfield is where they want to try taking control of. They're getting a couple of chances going forward, all right. Shushnar seemed as though he led that drinks break more than anyone else.
Well, he's been an important presence for Newcastle, and Rob Stanton has spoken about the role of Shushnar in this side. Being most impressive, his leadership, and they really did miss him. Dobson, lovely ball. Donachie. And this is what competition for places does. James Donachie first came back. He has been on point for Western. And you just wonder, Tate Russell, Ben Garuccio, they come back into the side. Is he potentially shuffled back to the bench? Well, after this performance, he's been excellent alongside Leonard. Imai at right back and Shamoon at left back have just given Newcastle no change down the flanks. Dobson. Time over hits the pass. Rose has done a lot of running. He wasn't going to sprint on that occasion. Just going to save his legs. But Will Dobson, he's been excellent when he's been utilised this season.
Yeah, he has. He's a bright young prospect from the local area. We just got a glimpse of his positioning and his ability in that last phase. Just receiving the ball on the turn and releasing Lockie Rose in behind.
Ingham. And Dobson. Bayliss pressured by Thurgate. And Danzaki looks up. Uses Iwasuki. Two Japanese imports combining, but Newcastle with an opportunity to push forward through Ingham. Dobson. And Mombois. Mombois! First goal for Newcastle for Charles Mombois. And where there is life, there may yet be hope for Newcastle.
Well, it's a nice finish from Charles Mombois. on the turn. Was injected really to add a little bit of steel into the midfield, but he gets forward here on the Harvey Norman replay. A little sloppy from the Western United defence as he clears his feet. He's got the time and the space, and that's a great finish. Realised he had the time to get the swivel on and tucks it past Matt Sutton. That is a great finish. And as we said, they needed to give something for this crowd to cheer about. Well, there's a first. Can they add a little bit more? And sometimes in these moments it's about those little achievements. Yeah, can you go and just get a goal? Can we as a team win the second half? Something to take a positive out of it. Well, that was nice from Charles Monwa.
So Ibusuki and Grimaldi replaced by Nazarene and Roos. So them to rest their legs. With knowledge, of course, they won't be playing again until April. Western United. They face Perth Glory at home. Now, I need to mention this because I've been meaning to. Most goals in a round in the A-League, 30. We're currently at 28, and we still have 25 to go here, and we've got Sydney and Wellington to come. Now, we know Wellington at the moment are struggling for goals, but Sydney FC, they could have at least a couple in them, and that would equal the record of round 24 from 2010-11 and round 26 from 2023-24, which was at the back end of last season. Now, Charles Monwa, he's got a little bit of extra pep in his step here after scoring for Newcastle. First goal for his new club. Lucky not letting him find a way around that time. Dobson himself wide in a nice position. Aquilina. And Shushnia. Dobson looking to Rose. Lockie Rose thought about shooting. Newcastle with the one change still to be made. Scarcella and Vidic, the outfield players that are the options for Rob Stanton. It's just looking at Lockie Rose, wondering how long he might stay out there for the Jets. They'll want to try and keep him out there for as long as possible, you would think, considering they've got a 2-week break. And he's a real attacking weapon. Molina tried to link up with Monwa. A little sore after that. Aquilina versus Danzaki. He hasn't got as much change out of Tom Aquilina in this second half, and you can say maybe he's a little bit fatigued, but and a more even affair with the pace of Aquilina to go up against Riku Danzaki, who was tearing the Jets apart down the flanks in the first half. Timmins with some space here in midfield. And it's a scuff shot, and Tonicki, that could have gone anywhere. It's gone out for a Newcastle corner. So as Newcastle gets set for this corner kick at Scarcella. just moving to the halfway line. Changing the offing for Newcastle in a few moments' time, but right now they've got some targets in the middle here, the likes of Shushnia. Daningham as well. It goes towards Rose at the near post, and they'll get a redo here, Newcastle. Look at that corner statistic. Newcastle dominating the corners. Different story on the scoreboard. Shape away. Clearance for Bayliss. He rips a shot at goal. And tugs it wide. So change for Newcastle is Scarcella coming on for the man who just had that pop at goal, Lockie Bayliss. Matt Scarcella, who is on loan at Newcastle this season from Sydney FC. 12th appearance for him. 10 of those coming off the bench. But he gets a good 19 minutes plus stoppage time to show his wares here. In a sense, there'll be opportunities in the Newcastle starting side after this result today. Timmins places it in front of Ingham, who's driving towards goal. Daningham cutting it back, and it's in for Newcastle. They've got a second. It was absolute pinball in the box at Daningham. Let's Angus Thurgate know about it, as he scored an own goal, Angus Thurgate, for his old side.
Well, he just went in for the little low five, didn't he? It bounced off. Angus Thurgate into his own net. It was wonderful play down the right-hand side on the Harvey Norman replay from Daningham. Little chop back there is great. As the strike gets saved, it comes off Angus Thurgate. And there's nothing you can do about it. And we said they need to give something for their fans. Well, that's a great driving run and good positive play. And I noticed in the last drink break, Daningham and Angus Thurgate were having a little chat together. And maybe he just runs in here and says, "Thanks, mate. We needed something."
Those two former teammates, obviously, at Newcastle a couple of years before Angus Thurgate departed for Western United. So Angus Thurgate, he scored 11 goals for the Jets during his 116 matches. He scored for the Jets in the colours of Western United now. An own goal, unfortunately. And Newcastle are back within 3. So they've restored some pride.
Good boy, good boy. Good boy.
And we're up to 29. Macca's got the abacus out, he's just showed me. 29 goals for the round. We only need 2 more, and we've got a new A-League record for most goals in a round in the Isuzu Ute A-League. And
we want it in this match. Come on, let's do it with a match to spare.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Andrew Howe is getting very excited right now, because he was messaging me before saying we're getting close here. So,
well, if the Jets can pull out another one in the next few minutes, all of a sudden...
You're calling it?
Well, you know what? Goals can really change the complex, and I know it's still a long way and it's 3 goals difference. If they were to snatch another one in the next 5 minutes, it makes an exciting 15-minute finish. The tails will be up.
Well, you can even feel around the stadium, all of a sudden there's people talking. As Ingham's attempted cross is blocked off. Timmins, things starting just to fall their way here. Mombwa, there's space here, Mombwa. And the crowd is starting to find their voice here.
Well, Charles Mombwa there thought he was going to get contact and went to ground and then realised, I'm not getting it, and stopped himself. He did have an option out on this left-hand side. And I think Daniel Wilmering saying that to him just now, or just a minute ago, was saying, just get your eye up. I'm out here. Lots of space.
Shushnia, Lawson out there for Western United.
Come on.
So too is Tate Russell. just had a little bit of calf soreness this week, so that's why he didn't start. This is a free kick for Western United. And that was a manhandling, you'd say, of Bodic by Shushnia. And we are going to have the final drinks break. So a chance here for Newcastle to take some stock, Daniel McBreen. They've grabbed a couple of goals back. They've created chances. And there's a little bit of belief starting to filter through, but you can see John Aloisi, he is furious.
Well, number one for him would have been a clean sheet. Would have just keep that real tight at the back and see what it does for the ladder, this win, as it stands for Western United. Creating a little gap between themselves and the ones below. And just edging ever closer to Auckland. But John Aloisi will be disappointed that they've let 2 in. It's been a comprehensive display.
Well, Tristan McManus has been eavesdropping for us during the drinks break. What did you hear, Tristan?
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I can't pull myself away from the Jets bench there. Rob Stanton's saying it a little bit more animated than the last one. But again, it's that thing. Once you win them one-on-one challenges, and he's setting that for everyone. He's like, you win yours, you win yours, you win yours. There's a bit of aggression there from Dane Ingham as well, which is great to see. You can see Shushnar leaving a bit on Botic as well. He's just trying to really rally the troops here. Like I said, I think that the mentality is certainly not different now than it was 15 minutes ago. And as you can see, John, he doesn't feel like this game is slipping away, but he certainly needs to see an awful lot more from Western that they don't take their foot off the pedal.
Thank you, Tristan. Jake Nadolski coming to the sideline for Western United as well. Probably expecting now Botic to be the player withdrawn. Rozos. Well, that is the fresh legs of Tate Russell. Nazarene. And Botic. Thurgate. Finding Rami Nazarene. Neat and intricate build-up. Shushnia gave his goalkeeper a task there, Noah James. Testing out his reflexes late on. I think the DJ at the ground here has forgot to turn the music off back. What's doing here?
He's just providing some entertainment. Noah James moving to the beat there to make the save.
Been some kind of afternoon here in Newcastle. Strange things will happen. So Nazarene's corner, it is bending towards that back post. And Nadolski is going to replace Botic. So all this change is taking place because Daniel Elder's going to run over and just explain to Noah Botic that he needs to move a little quicker off the pitch. Let's just clarify goals for the round. So 9 on Friday night. Last night we had 10 across the 2 matches, so that's 19. 23 after the Auckland Central Coast match, and we've got 7 now, so we're up to 30.
That's why the DJ was playing. We've equalled the record.
We've equalled the record of most goals in a round in the A-League. We only need one more, Macca.
Well, if this finishes this way and Sydney finishes 0-0, we're going to be sorely disappointed.
No, it can't happen. Lockie Rose. He's the man for the hour, isn't he? Lockie Rose. Rozos. Scarcella. And Timmins. Now it's Dobson. Ingham in space again. Timmins and Momwa. Shushnia. Well, a defender to score the record-breaking goal. Now, that would be something. We've seen him score a spectacular goal before. The Perth Glory in the night round last year. Ingham, delivery, Rose, and is it across the line? No, it's not. It's going to be a corner. Absolute chaos there again. What is going on in that corner of the field? Because that was where Natta's own goal went in. It was where Thurgate's own goal went in, and it very nearly was an own goal there from Imai.
Well, it was Tate Russell who had to get back and save Imai's blushes.
That's the Bermuda Triangle of McDonald Jones Stadium.
Dane Ingham's done well since coming on. He's caused a few problems for Western United down that right-hand side. Got him behind well. Bodies flying everywhere on that occasion.
Rose up there with Mombois. Daniel Elder saying another corner kick for Newcastle.
Well, I just want Jordan Lawton to mark up Dane Ingham here. The hairstyles are fantastic. I love it.
Rozos curling. And with the header, Scarcella had to deal with the pressure of Lawton. Shush now. And Timmins. Well, Jordan Lawton has a piece of A-League history. I think it was the 4,000th National League player. Maybe he's about to provide us with another special moment this afternoon. With goal number 31 of the round. Who can forget that incredible goal that he scored against Perth Glory back in round 12. The bicycle kick to win it, and then the red card for the goal celebration. There's the XG. Second half, Newcastle certainly created opportunities of their own. Western almost put the cue in the rack. But you could also say that defensively Newcastle have been a lot better with those changes.
Yeah, they have. A little bit of both, I guess, when you're cruising at 4-0. That urgency might go out of the attack a little bit. But they have tightened up a lot at the back. The Jets, they have controlled the game. Had more possession. They've moved it around. They've tried to get players on the ball in midfield. One good thing they have done is that out of possession, they've locked that midfield down a little bit more. There was way too much space for Western United players early on.
Mombois, how has he turned through two Western players there? Wilmering, deliveries behind Ingham. Dobson is there, feeds Ingham. Sutton closed it off. And then Rose. Newcastle with a chance to recalibrate. Rozos, first time delivery, invites the run of Dobson. Shamoon just fluffed his lines. Oh, and there's a free kick here. Well, that is an interesting one. Daniel Elder saying he fluffed his lines because Dobson gave him a shove.
Ben, your face tells it all. You don't think that was right. I think you agree with the crowd here. I think he fluffed his lines and then fell over.
Well, Timmins, I think, has just said to the referee, you've had a shocker there. Well, the problem is the scoreline's 5-2 down. It's been that kind of afternoon for Newcastle, unfortunately. Russell and Nazarene. Lawton. And Tate Russell just has a moment he'd rather forget. Timmins slips it here for Dobson. So a chance to stretch his legs, Will Dobson. Russell went barrelling over in back play. Ingham delivering. It's a throw here for Newcastle. Tate Russell runs into the box now. There was some kind of contact off the ball. Poor ball from Aquilina. Now Michael Roos. He has got the pace in a foot race. This is for the A-League record. Michael Roos. 6 for Western United. 31 goals in a round of football in the Isuzu A-League for the first time in its 20-year history. What a red-letter day it has been for the green and black.
Well, the Harvey Norman replay, it was just a foot race, wasn't it? And there was only going to be one winner. Look at the pace he uses there, and then it's just compose himself, assess where the keeper is, and he slots it through the legs of Noah James, who was stranded, really. It's been a good day for Western United, and one to forget for the Newcastle Jets.
So Michael Roos with 3 for the season now. You can see 12 for his career. He has been the super sub off the bench for them this season. He's just growing in confidence. If you are going to push for a championship, you need that depth across the squad. You need those players to come on and score goals off the bench, and he's done it once again here, late on. And Macca, aren't you excited? You've witnessed something special. Never done in 20 years of A-League action. 31 goals in a round.
Yeah, well, it's been entertaining, hasn't it? From Friday night.
So you can see on the Paramount Plus player index, no surprises, Reece Bozanowski with a double. He is clearly the leader. From Bozic and Danzaki, Grozos and Momba also up there for Newcastle. Too close to Matt Sutton.
Well, I give it to the Jets players who have come on in Momba and Dane Ingham in particular. Those two have had an impact in the game. Yeah, they've helped to steady the ship a little. You know, when you look at the scoreline and you think 6-2, but they've probably been the two standouts for mine in the Jets 11. But when you look at Western United across the board, they've just been very good, haven't they?
And there might be another one here. Nadowski hasn't scored in his A-League career. And the clearance from Wilmering. Searching for Rose. Western with a late flurry here. But Newcastle now have a chance to springboard through Dobson. Rolls it out to Rose. He has Scarcella. Rose is going to go himself. And once again, the desperation from Western to block a strike at goal.
Yep. Can't disagree with you there. That out closing the ball as soon as they see that he's going to line up for the strike. Someone's out closing the space, not allowing the ball to travel. Did have a couple of options. Lockie Rose there. Momba and Ingham. Wilmering as well, I believe, got forward into the box.
And it's too much to say that kind of defensive endeavour is the difference in a 4-goal victory at this point. It could be more. Norton, tough angle to back heel though. Nadowski, now Roos, hunting a double. And that time it was Newcastle on the scramble. Dobson. How about that for a pass? Ingham. There's Shamoon backtracking. Been dynamic down that right. Dane Ingham had a good impact for Newcastle off the bench. Rose hooks it around the corner for Ingham. And a corner for the Jets. It's been a profitable area of the pitch, that right-hand edge for the Jets in their second half. They've generated a lot of their chances through the work of Dane Ingham. They've won themselves a corner here. Away was the call, and that's exactly what the Western defence did. Landed hustling that back line alongside James Donachie excellently. 6 minutes of additional time we've got. Newcastle players will want that to speed up. They just want to get off the pitch and move into their focus. Their next match in a fortnight. That's the thing. They've got 2 weeks to stew on this. Monbois. Rosas. Scarcella. Dobson with time. He's cross blocked off, and then Danzaki. So Western, this result, 4 matches in a row they have now won, when this one is secured. Second time this season. Timmins was looking for the penalty. Daniel Loader saying he went down too easily. I tend to think you agree, Macca.
Well, on first viewing, yes. Let's have another look here as he goes inside. In the second viewing, a firm yes. And I have to say, he's probably lucky he didn't get a yellow card.
Yeah. Fair enough, and maybe that's what Daniel Elder's saying. Well, VAR was giving it a check there, but I don't think they needed to have too much of a further look. Timmins and Dobson. All the way through to Monbois. Very, very tight angle, and you can see the frustration again for Lockie Rose. Absolutely giving it his all. But for Newcastle, it just hasn't been enough this afternoon. It was a famous victory on Wednesday night, but it has been a rude awakening on Sunday. They thought they were in really good nick coming up against Western. They've knocked over some big sides. City, Victory, Adelaide. John Aloisi's men have just been imperious. They have come here with a mission. Cella's high boot. And then Western, a free kick. So Western United, they do have one more match played than Auckland, 4 points out behind the Black Knights. Now, we're all expecting at this point Auckland to win the Premier's Plate Maker, but if Western United won the Premier's Plate, that would have to be one of the most unlikely results.
Are we all expecting it, Owen? You've written it off already. I think it was Robbie Thompson who said the same to me last week. Mate, well, you're signing this off early.
Well, I want a Premier's Plate race. That's why I'm trying to...
Well, let's have a look at Auckland's last 3 results. Yeah. What are they?
Hang on. We'll see this corner out for West. Nazaré gets a lot of curl, and James with the punch. Goes to Kate Russell. And a flick on from Danzaki is wide. Yes, Macca.
Auckland's last 3 results. 3 draws, yeah? 4 points separating first and second. 6 and 7 games respectively to go, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, and you know what, Macca? I'm just sensing the ticket sales. I'm sensing the promoter's dream. Guess who plays in the final round? Western United at home at Tarneit against Auckland. There would be nothing more special than that. Would like final round of the season. I wanted to pass under the bridge before that, but it could well happen. You never know. Spectacular things happen in this competition. That's why we love it.
It's written in the stars, isn't it? It's all going to come down to that game. Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
A minute left here for Newcastle. Get through one of the toughest afternoons of Western United, one of the most impressive displays on the road from them. Just add it to the catalogue this season. 4-3 win over Sydney, 4-0 win over Auckland, that 3-2 come from behind win against Perth. It wasn't a away match, but a full.
It's not bad going. Four goals against in the same time. They're not going bad.
So it's a record equalling result for Western United. 4 straight victories for the second time this season. And they will stay second on the table. They are 4 points off the Black Knights. The Premier's Plate race is well and truly on for John Aloisi's team, with their first victory over the Jets here in Newcastle since 2023. And for Newcastle, their 7-match undefeated run, their club record equalling run, has been ended with a thud.
ضمن مباريات كأس مصر في أبو ظبي الإسلامي تتابعون الوصل مع الجزيرة 12:10 مساء على دبي الرياضية. أكثر من 7,000 رياضي ورياضية من مختلف أنحاء العالم يتنافسون في 11 رياضة متنوعة. انضموا إلينا خلال شهر رمضان في الموسم 12 لدورة ند الشبه الرمضانية من 1 إلى 20 من مارس على دبي الرياضية.
أهلا بكم مشاهدينا الكرام في استاد الدوري.
في استاد الدوري
الشارقة في الدوري ليس هو الشارقة اللي يفترض عليه.
يجتمع أفضل المحللين والخبراء في عالم المستديرة.
لاعب بطريقة مختلفة لأول مرة يلعب.
يتناقشون،
إذا يتعادلوا يطلعوا الاثنين من المنافس.
يحللون.
الأرقام بالنسبة للفريق المنافس متقاربة مع أرقام فريق نادي الوصل. يلعب باثنين محاور 6.
يقدمون آرائهم التي تسلط الضوء على منافسات دوري المحترفين والكرة الإماراتية. استاد الدوري على دبي الرياضية.
مركز محمد بن راشد لطباعة المصحف الشريف، الأول في الطباعة بكل الخطوط والقراءات، الأحدث في استخدام التقنيات، والأفضل في معايير المراجعة والتدقيق، لطباعة ما يصل إلى 15 مليون نسخة سنوياً.
Hello and welcome to the show that brings you the best mix of adrenaline and alternative sports. Coming up this week, we take you to Switzerland for highlights from the Engadine Ski Marathon, one of the biggest sports events in the country. We're back in Wales for our second report from the Downhill Skateboard Championship and the luge competition. But first, it's FIA European karting action from Italy.
5th year in succession, the FIA Karting European Championships come to Italy for the culmination of the European campaign in the KZ categories. The venue for 2024's finale, Cartodromo Val Vibrata, near the town of Teramo in the region of Abruzzo. With this region's history as fascinating as it is long, what better place for drivers representing more than 25 nations to finish their quests for glory in this year's FIA Karting European Championships. Across the paddock, 163 drivers have descended on Val Vibrata to battle it out on track to either continue positive form seen in the championship's first round in Spain, or bounce back to finish the season strongly without the pressures of championship honours at stake. After close racing throughout the season opener, all 3 European titles remain up for grabs here in Val Vibrata. Coupled with the entry lists boasting many a former or current holder of an FIA karting title, the action promises to be as hot as the weather along the Adriatic coast. For this track, it's a welcome return for FIA karting to Val Vibrata. Round 2 for this year's KZ, KZ2 and KZ2 Masters Championships marks the first time a European Championship event has been held here since 2008. All the more reason for all competitors to give it 100% for the second and final round of these 2024 FIA Karting European Championships. The largest category amongst the 3, the KZ2 title proves to be one of the toughest to win in the sport. With over 90 drivers looking to race through to each final, it was the 2023 runner-up Daniel Vasile who took the top spot in Spain. He didn't, however, head to Italy with the standings lead. Matteo Spurgel's consistency at Motorland Aragon meant the French driver headed into Val Vibrata with a 6-point advantage. Maxim Orlov started on pole with a very slim chance in the championship, with Marcus Kayak for company on the front row. Spurgel, third on the grid, knew 5th or higher would give him the title. Starts are always key in KZ2, and for Marcus Kayak it was a bad one. Marek Skrivan took advantage to squeeze through past the Maranello kart and challenged Spurgel for second. Turn 2 would be an even tighter affair, with Spurgel into the back of Orlov. Orlov wide with Skrivan whilst everyone else tried to find a way through. Tim Lucati would not be so lucky, out of contention on lap 1, having started on the 16th row of the grid. Spurgel led, but quickly would find himself under investigation for the start, whilst closest adversary Vasile was on the move. For Alessio Pacini, 4th in the early stages were as good as it got. An unfortunate spin put an end to the hopes of the driver who'd been fastest in qualifying practice earlier in the weekend. Lap 2 and CRG's Andrea Dali would become the first official retirements from the final. Spurgel continued to lead by lap 5, knowing field spread was likely to be his best friend whilst under investigation. Orlov had held second place ahead of Vasile. It was the 3 drivers with a chance of the title clear of the rest. Kasper Schurmans had started 8th and was soon setting about moving past Kayak for 4th. The tightest of moments for Kayak, the Estonian going round and eventually retirement from the race. A real shame for the Maranello driver, who'd hoped for much better after taking multiple heat wins earlier on in the weekend. Matteo Zanchi also had issues through turn 9 in the first half of the race, the final proving once again to be a battle to survive for those in the midfield. Meanwhile, back at the front, Orlov was over a second clear of Vasile and starting to give race and championship leader Spurgel problems. Those problems weren't as big as the ones for his teammate Anatoly Khavalkin. A high speed off into turn 4 before the halfway point of the final saw the number 151 out of the race. Most importantly though, Khavalkin was able to walk away. Lucati withdrew from proceedings next at the end of the 10th lap, unable to recover from the earlier spin. There were better times for his CPB Sport teammate Kasper Schurmans, who'd found a way past Vasile for 3rd. This was a good piece of news for the race leader. With Vasile off the podium, the job at hand for Spurgel's title shot was now easy. Into the second half of the race, and Alessio Scabini became the next retirement on lap number 12. Before Miguel Costa's race ended 8 laps from the end, the round had seen an improvement for the Brazilian, who missed the final in Spain, but it was still not the results he'd wanted. The attrition in the final continued at pace. Germany's Maxi Schleimer was next to fall in a final that saw 9 drivers fail to take the checkered flag. The top 2 had built a healthy lead. Orlov struck on lap 20, Spurgel happy not to fight, knowing he had a good buffer to cover any eventualities from the investigation, which concluded in the end with no further action. Baparo agonisingly stopped on track with 2 laps to go. But it was Orlov who brought it home to take victory in Italy, with an impeccable unbeaten record through all 5 qualifying heats and the superheat. He also took the fastest lap in the final, meaning Orlov had scored every single championship point on offer from the round. For CPB Sport and Matteo Spergel, it was job done. Second place ahead of Vasley meant he was the 2024 FIA Karting European Champion in KZ2. And joined on the podium by teammate Casper Shermans, it saw the completion of a magnificent job from the French team to turn around the deficit they'd had to Birol ART 12 months ago. After a difficult start to the season in Spain, Maxim Orlov finished the European Championship with a flourish and 3rd in the standings. Could a push for the world title be next? The final result in KZ2. Orlov from the new KZ2 European champion Spergel. Shermans makes it 2 CPB Sports Sodis on the podium, whilst Vasley has to settle for 4th and runner-up in the championship for a 2nd year in a row. Mugato races home in the top 5 ahead of Nonblanc, Scrivan, Kutsov, Leopardi and Batuka. The attentions of many of KZ2's field will turn to Portimao in the World Championship in October, but not before the top 3 celebrate their success at Valdebrata. Matteo Spergel has proven that consistency was the key through this KZ2 campaign. Never out of the top 3 at any point awarding stage, a deserving champion. The KZ category kicked off their campaign in the searing heat of the Spanish desert, with all eyes on former world champion Victor Gustafsson and 2023 frontrunner Senna van Walstein to see who would take first blood in 2024. With the Dutchman taking the first final, Van Walstein once again, like he did in 2023, headed to Italy leading the standings, this time by 10 points over Gustafsson. KZ is by nature predictably unpredictable though. Through the heats, Van Walstein was 8th, Gustafsson 5th. The gap now only 2 points. Lorenzo Travisanuto would be on home soil pole and back in championship contention. Joined by David Trevilov on the front row, Lorenzo Camplesi would go from 3rd. Off the start, it was a superb getaway for Trevilov. Travisanuto bogging down off the line, allowing Camplesi to get down the inside, whilst Adrian Renaudin's race would end before it had truly begun, not going past turn 1. A strong start for Gustafsson came undone at turn 2, the Swede running deep and losing a number of positions, whilst title rivals Van Walstein and Travisanuto both found themselves with work to do. 2022 European champion Paolo Ippolito's day would also end on lap 1. Having been so strong at this stage of the season in recent times, the round for the Kart Republic Works team had not been what they'd expected. Ippolito out, and reigning champion Albanese seemingly fighting for the minor placings. Like KZ2, the early stages saw several retirements. Renaudin, Leonardo Pelozzi and Riccardo Longhi would join Ippolito on the sidelines. With the race into its rhythm, the title picture began to emerge. Travisanuto, running 3rd, was now the standings leader by the slimmest of margins. Every move would count, and hearts were in mouths when Pedro Hiltbrand attacked into turn 1. Van Walstein and Gustafsson went wheel to wheel once more, with a daring move from the Dutchman round the outside of turn 2 that he made work for 5th place. A crucial swing in the points, but still a long way to go. For Gustafsson, it was time to rebuild. With more than 20 laps to go, he was now down in 7th place. Trevilov was putting on a show, 1.4 clear of Camplesi. He was in full control, not having to worry about championship permutations. An incident between Stan Pex and Giuseppe Palomba would see both of them out of contention on lap 7. A disappointing end for 2 drivers who'd scored well in Spain. They would fall down the championship standings. It was a tough final for past FIA karting champions. 2020 world champion Jeremy Iglesias would bow out before the halfway point, ending this year's hopes of that elusive European title, as would Stan Pex after his earlier issue. Back out on track, Travisanuto was assessing the situation behind Camplesi, whose 2nd place would mean 6 more points in the championship, a tally made even more important by Senna van Walstein now sitting 4th on the road. If Travisanuto could find a way through, he'd be tied on points again. And the move came on lap 17, a precise one down the inside. With Trevilov 1.5 seconds out front, the job was now clear for both Travisanuto and Van Walstein. Hold position and set the fastest lap. Van Waalstein may well have been holding the fastest lap, but his bigger problem was trying to find a way past Complesi whilst also holding off Pedro Hiltbrand. The battle for the podium would go on to the very end of the race. The three-way fight offered Travis Sanuto, though, the perfect opportunity to get his head down and drive flat out. 48.648 would see the Italian take the fastest lap bonus points away from his title rival. He now held that all-important 1-point lead. Travis Sanuto could not afford to ease off, however, knowing that Van Waalstein would at least go for the fastest lap again or try to get past Complesi for third. Try as he might, Van Waalstein simply could not find a way past an informed Complesi. The pace he'd found from his Tony Kart during the superheat victory earlier in the day still very much there for what was an inspired drive. The laps ticked on by with no one able to match the race pace of David Trevelov, the German taking a superb victory all built from his lightning race start. And with Van Waalstein unable to wrestle either third from Complesi or retrieve the fastest lap point, Lorenzo Travis Sanuto became the 2024 FIA Karting European Champion in KZ by one single point. A scarcely believable finish to the championship. For Travis Sanuto, it was a fourth FIA Karting Championship, his first European title since 2019, and his first in the KZ category. The full result for the final in KZ. Trevelov brings home the win for Maranello by 1 second, ahead of the new KZ European champion Lorenzo Travis Sanuto and Lorenzo Complesi. Senna Van Waalstein finished fourth to take another step closer to the European title, up from third to second this year. A cheerful podium to finish with in Italy. For Complesi and Trevelov, impressive turnarounds after testing times in Spain. But for Lorenzo Travis Sanuto, it's a historic championship, continuing the line of Italian winners of the European KZ title, now 4 in a row, and a first title for Parolin at this level, capping off an impressive campaign.
Join us after the break. We'll return to Wales for our second report from the Downhill Skateboard Championship and the Luge competition. And later, we're in Switzerland for highlights from the Engadine Ski Marathon, one of the biggest sports events in the country. See you in a couple of minutes.
حصريا ولأول مرة تتجه الأنظار إلى سباقات ناسكار. تعرض لكم دبي الرياضية 33 سباقا يتنافس فيها نخبة من السائقين العالميين بسرعات تصل إلى 340 كيلومترا في الساعة. تابعوا سباقات ناسكار حصريا على دبي الرياضية.
مركز محمد بن راشد لطباعة المصحف الشريف، الأول في الطباعة بكل الخطوط والقراءات، الأحدث في استخدام التقنيات، والأفضل في معايير المراجعة والتدقيق، لطباعة ما يصل إلى 15 مليون نسخة سنوياً.
Welcome back to the show. As now we return to Wales for our second report from the Downhill Skateboard Championship and the Luge competition. Welcome to Wales for our second report from round 2 of the Brinks World Downhill Skateboarding Championship. In our previous report, we saw all the qualifying and quarter-final action as we narrowed down the world's elite to just 8. Into the semi-finals, and the first heat is an all-British affair, with Andrew Spate and Josh Fieldwick facing off for a place in the final. We now head over to the live commentary team.
So here we go. First of the men's semi-finals. Win this and you are guaranteed a medal here, and it's Josh Fieldwick again with the good start. And Fieldwick ahead of Spate here, and Spate has to do something. It's not Dan Pierk of the Netherlands. It is Fieldwick in the lead with Andy Spate in second place. Spate trying to run it tight on the exit. Can he get in the slipstream? Can he do anything? He's got the size advantage. You could see that Spate has a little bit more top end, but there's nowhere to go. Spate putting the pressure on Josh Fieldwick. Round the outside, and Spate's maybe going to try and cut tight on the inside of the turn. But it's Fieldwick who has put on a masterclass so far today. Not a lot Spate can do at the moment. The braking zone, and Spate has to think about maybe trying to dive on the inside. There's all he can do here on the exit from the chicane. Can Spate get close enough? There's nowhere to go. It's going to be a bit of a sprint for the line, but Josh Fieldwick just holds off Andy Spate. A little shake of the head from Spate, but Fieldwick into the final. A great run again from Josh Fieldwick. He is guaranteed a medal here. Now semi-final number 2. Colby Parks up against Phil Spencer. Colby Parks on the left-hand side of the road, the Canadian out of Ontario. Phil Spencer from Great Britain. They're neck and neck out of the start. Colby sitting up, and well, Spencer getting down low a little bit earlier, putting the pressure on Parks. They're going to be side by side into the first turn. Well, Spencer just moved in behind Parks there, but he's got to keep that connection, got to stay close. You never know. We saw how close Spate got in the previous semi-final. Bit of an advantage here, though. There's not a lot in it between Parks and Spencer. Through the hairpin, good clean exit from both riders. Parks with a bit of a cushion. Spencer not able to sit in the draft. And the gap increases. Colby Parks looking to make his second final in a row in the Brinks World Downhill Skateboarding Championship. Avoids the speed wobble that he had in qualification. And it's Colby Parks from Canada who takes his place in the big final.
At the consolation final, Andrew Spate will battle Phil Spencer for a podium spot.
Here we go. Consi final in the luge underway. Strong looking start from both riders. They are neck and neck at the moment. Spate gets down low first on the board, side by side. Coming into turn 1. This is going to be super, super tight. Spate hits the brakes. Phil Spencer gets on the brakes a little later. And it's Phil Spencer with the advantage. Coming out of that turn, Spencer trying to hold off Andy Spate, who's got the size advantage through this section. He can build the speed a little bit quicker, but Spencer has been working so hard in the gym to get in shape. A huge credit to him for the work that he is doing off of the hill to be ready to battle it out on the hill against the world's best. But Andy Spate is going nowhere. Here he comes. Is he going to take a risk? Coming in to the chicane section. Spate still sitting in third place. Right now Spencer has a little look. Has Spate got anything? Can he make a move through this section? It's not going to happen, and Phil Spencer is going to get third place. His first Brinks World Downhill Skateboarding Championship podium. And Andy Spate with a smile on his face across the line. There won't be a happier man than Andy Spate to see Phil get on the podium today. Congratulations to Phil Spencer.
Over at Moon, can't believe it. Got in semis with Colby. Canadian dream, that guy. It was just an absolute honour to race with him. Got in consists with Andy. Just got him up push. I did give 2 extra pushes and got him into the first corner, so stuck it out rest at track, and I know we were inches behind me. I could hear him all the way down, but just went for it, see what I could do.
So Phil Spencer takes the third podium spot. Not long now until we find out who will be crowned King in Wales. With everything on the line, now it's time for the Open Street Luge Final. Colby Parks will declare victory in the 2024 season if he can win the next race. Only Josh Fieldwick stands in his way.
Fieldwick has been defeated Andrew Spate in the semi-finals and finds himself up against the winner of round one, the championship leader, Colby Parks. Here we go. Men's luge final. Colby Parks with a good start, but Fieldwick's starts have been super strong all day, and they're approaching the first turn. Can Fieldwick get the line into the turn? And it's Colby Parks who just holds that line and has the advantage. Fieldwick's running low. Fieldwick's in the bails. Fieldwick's in the bails. Colby Parks just has to come through. Colby Parks is out on his own. Fieldwick has worked so hard today. They're working on the bails at the top. He gets moving again. But Colby Parks is going to ride through to take his second victory in a row on the World Downhill Skateboarding Championship. Entering the chicane, and the Canadian is the form man this season. One more turn to go. Colby Parks comes through, takes the victory in round number 2 in Wales. He celebrates a great day's work from Colby Parks. Victory again for the Canadian. 200 points now for him in the championship standings. Josh Fieldwick is still to complete the course. Fieldwick coming through. He will take a well-earned second place today for Josh Fieldwick. It has been great racing.
And Colby Parks does it. The Canadian wins in Wales and is the Brinks World Downhill Skateboarding Championship Street Luge Champion of 2024.
What do you reckon? Stoked, man. I didn't expect to be here. I couldn't have lost to anyone better than Colby. So, yeah, good racing. Unfortunately, had that crash on the first corner. But, yeah, that's racing and we go again.
Yeah. With it being best 2 out of 3 now, I have 2 wins, so that means I win the World Championship. So I've worked so hard over the summer to get my push, and I think that was the key today. Josh surprised everyone with his push, beat out top qualifier Oli, and then he beat out Andy. And I was worried about taking the outside lane for that last final, but in my run with Phil, it seemed like the outside lane had a bit of a dip, and I was able to get him enough that he had to brake into the first corner, and I just held it from there. So the push and all that work I've done has paid off.
The final standings are Colby Parks with first, with Josh Fieldwick second, Phil Spencer third, Andrew Spate fourth, and Ulrich Becker fifth. In the World Championship standings, Colby Parks has now secured victory with 200 points. Ulrich Becker is second with 134, and Andrew Spate third with 125 points. In the qualifying series, Josh Fieldwick was on top of the podium with Phil Spencer in second and Ulrich Becker in third. That brings an end to our coverage from Wales. See you in Rowan Mountain, Tennessee for the final leg of the 2024 season of the Brinks World Downhill Skateboarding Championship.
Join us after the break. We'll head to Switzerland for highlights from the Engadine Ski Marathon, one of the biggest sports events in the country. See you in a couple of minutes.
أنتم القاعدة الحقيقية لفخر الوطن، أنتم الجماهير.
20 عاما مروا على انطلاق برنامج الجماهير. هدف
يا أخي مش راضين من الموسم اللي طاف.
عشنا فيهم أحلى اللحظات وأقواها.
الياس هالموسم بينافس على البطولة.
هذا العين هذا العين.
صدارة تامة لنا.
من أفضل صيحة نصر إلى أقوى صيحة غضب، حتى أجمل فرحة.
اشتقنا إليكم، لأصواتكم، حماسكم الذي لا ينقطع.
أنتم الجماهير، أنتم حياة للمدرج. 20 عاما وما زلنا مستمرين معكم. الجماهير على دبي الرياضية.
صقر كبير الواحد وله السمع والطاعة، هو ومن يتولى بعده.
صح خلتهم.
سلاحك ما ينرفع بوجه الأعراب يا عدنان. جهز سلاحك.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. خذوا منا كل شيء. تسوي فيها اللي قاعد تسوي فيني الحين.
أنت كلك تبع لأخوي محارب. لن أسمح بأن تستمر هذه الفوضى. مشاكلنا تنحل بيننا.
واحة الأعرابي يوميا 11 مساء على سمد بي. رمضان نور سمانا.
Welcome back to the show. Is now we take you to Switzerland for highlights from the Engadine Ski Marathon, one of the biggest sports events in the country. Once a year, thousands of cross-country skiers from around the world descend on the Engadine, one of Switzerland's most picturesque high alpine valleys, to take part in the Engadine Ski Marathon, one of the biggest sports events in Switzerland.
The
Engadine Ski Marathon has been around since 1969. It's been a success story right from the start, and also this year we have almost 13,000 participants who've registered. They come from over 60 different countries, so pretty much from all over the world, to take part in the world's second biggest cross-country skiing event.
The
Engadine Ski Marathon covers 42 kilometres through all the communities here. I think it's the one event where we can present ourselves and show how sensational our high valley is. But the Engadine is a year-round destination. In winter we have sensational skiing, and what makes our valley stand out is the lakes, where you can enjoy sailing, surfing, kite surfing and all sorts of sports.
Mit Segeln, Surfen, Kitesurfen, x-beliebige Sportarten haben.
With four-time Olympic champion and the four-time winner of the Engadine Ski Marathon, Dario Cologna, we of course have a real celebrity starting here. We have Justina Cavalci, a double Olympic and double world champion, and in the women's race there is Therese Jörg, who really is the cross-country skiing superstar. But we also have a lot of good up-and-coming athletes from Switzerland, from the Swiss ski men's team and some strong French skiers. It's always a very good mix of real top stars and amateur athletes.
Und der ganze breite Sportler.
The first race of the Engadine Ski Marathon week is the women's race, where the female-only start field tackles the scenic 17-kilometre course. Before the start in Samadan, all eyes are on the four-time Olympic champion Therese Jörg.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله
أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه اللهم المقام المحمود الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
From Norway, who competes in her first race after a 2-year maternity leave.
I think I will be really nervous because it's 2 years since I have competing. I think maybe, you know, the head think that you are in the same shape as you was for 2 years ago.
Amongst the hundreds of women are some who also use the Engadine Women's Race to raise awareness and money for charity. I raced for Matchday, which is Pink Ribbon, and it's about breast cancer prevention, and the pink bear was kind of obvious as a costume. There are only women doing this race, and I think it's going to be a really cool atmosphere. It'll be fun to take part. As the start gun goes, around 1,000 female skiers set off for the first race of the Engadine Ski Marathon Week. Straight from the start, Norwegian superstar Therese Johaug sets the pace, and despite having a 2-year break from competitions, the 14-time world champion is in a league of her own. In the chasing pack, Justyna Kowalczyk from Poland and Switzerland's biathlon Olympic silver medalist Selina Gasparin showed their cross-country credentials, and they give it their all to keep the distance to Johaug as small as possible. Whilst Teresa Johaug is racing on her own at the front of the field, hundreds of women enjoy their time together on the course during the 23rd Engadine Women's Race as they take in the crowd support and stunning Engadine landscape. It's a joyful occasion, and for most of these cross-country enthusiasts, the fun is more important than race times and podium positions. Back at the front, Teresa Johaug still dominates the race with the same group of 7 women in chase. Among them, Switzerland's biathlon star and Engadine native Selina Gasparin. After a dominant race, 14-time world and 4-time Olympic champion Johaug crosses the finish line with a huge gap ahead of the rest of the field, clearly enjoying her comeback to cross-country racing.
It was really fun to have the racing be fun again and have the feeling when you push yourself in the trucks and people are cheering for me out there, so it was a fantastic feeling again.
In second place, another former Olympic champion, Justyna Kowalczyk from Poland. And also happy with the race, but more so with the return to her native Engadine biathlete Selina Gasparin. Yes, of course, this is my home. I know everything here. I've trained here a lot. I wouldn't just have run any old race. So yeah, this is a real homecoming. Due to heavy snowfall followed by warm temperatures, both the Silza and Silverplana lakes can't be prepared in time for the Engadine race. So this year's start is moved to Silverplana. Another logistical challenge that Menderi Kasper and his team have to deal with. It's a complex and big undertaking. We have around 1,000 volunteers that work here and need to know where they need to be and when. We've got 8 stations on the course and we need around 20,000 litres of warm water for them on race morning. Then we have to organise the transport of all the participants to the start. We have more than 64 buses we've collected from all over Switzerland, and they're just there to drive the people to the start. We've also got 40 military trucks that transport the participants' clothes from the start to the finish. And we'll be back in Switzerland for more ski action after this very short break. See you in just a few minutes.
حكومة دبي قصة قيادة بدأت برؤية وطموح وتستمر بالإنجاز والريادة. هوية تعبر عن أصالتنا، ثقافتنا ورؤانا الواعدة. تواكب مسيرة عطائنا، إصرارنا وشموخنا. تحكي عن عمق تاريخنا وانفتاح مدينتنا، وتحتضن في تفاصيلها تعلقنا بأرضنا، تسامحنا وقيمنا الراسخة. هوية حكومة دبي قصة فخر لا حدود لإنجازاتها.
Welcome back to the show, as now we return to Switzerland for highlights from the Engadine Ski Marathon, one of the biggest sports events in the country. Well, the second race highlight of the weekend is the 6th Engadine Night Race, where skiers from around the world can experience a unique and magical adventure on the moonlit cross-country trails in and around Sils and Pontresina.
You get to meet people from many different countries. Yeah, that's one of the really special things about it, and just the excitement around it.
We agreed that he stays with me, and I'm glad about that.
It's going to be so surreal, like going through the night with a head torch all the way through. It's going to be like an adventure for me.
As the start gun goes, around 800 skiers make their way into the Engadine Night to tackle the modified 16-kilometre course that runs for the first time from La Pont through Samadan to Pontresina. For many, this is an adventure of a lifetime. With their head torches, the cross-country skiers create a magical atmosphere, and supporters and fans cheer them on along the way. As the hundreds of cross-country skiers approach the end of the 16-kilometre course, hot refreshments help them to tackle the last few kilometres. Reaching the finish area in first place is 19-year-old Pontresina local Rowan Alder, who's overjoyed with the victory on his home turf. It's really cool. I'm just so happy. The finish line is just around the corner from my house, so it's really exciting. I actually thought that something might be possible today, and I stayed in the group for a long time. But to win is obviously really cool. The women's category is won by an equally delighted Justyna Kowalczyk from Poland.
I'm so happy that I win the race. My ski was working perfect, and I was feel good working with the men's. I'm happy. I think that I will be sleep good today.
Another Swiss skier with his own ambitions is the winner of this year's night race, 19-year-old Pontresina local Roman Alder, who hopes that the home field advantage will also help him for the Engadina. We always train on the trails of the Engadine Ski Marathon. We know the course inside out and have watched the race for decades. We've seen over and over again where the important turns and course parts are, and that's what we train for. Dario Colonia, the best Swiss cross-country skier, is of course a massive legend. As a small boy, it was always really exciting to watch my idol at the Engadine Ski Marathon, to experience him skiing past right in front of my eyes. And now we have races where we compete against Dario, and that's obviously a lot of fun. I think I particularly like cross-country skiing because you get to know yourself extremely well. Your body, how far you can push yourself, what your limits are. It's so multifaceted, which you possibly won't experience when you look on from the outside, but definitely do when you take part and experience the ski marathon. It's the race morning, and as thousands of cross-country skiers from around the planet arrive at the start area in Silverplana to get themselves ready for the world's second biggest cross-country ski race, heavy snowfall makes for interesting conditions. As is customary, the elite field with the professional skiers will lead the charge onto the slightly shortened new course. And even for seasoned pros like four-time Olympic champion Colonia, these weather conditions will be a difficult challenge. Yes, it's definitely harsher than in previous years because it's icy and the ground is very hard. I'm slowly starting to get nervous. The atmosphere is building up, everyone's here, and soon it all starts. It's race time, and the women's pro field starts the 54th Engadine Ski Marathon from the new start location in Silverplana. Shortly after, it's the turn of the professional men, and straight from the start, the elite skiers like Dario Colonia and Roman Alder among them set a blistering pace. Fighting for a good position in the early stages is essential, but for now the pack sticks together. And soon after, the first amateurs also start their Engadine Ski Marathon journey. In the women's race, France's Flora Dolce is the early pacemaker, and a few kilometres into the race, she's put distance between herself and the three chasers. In the men's race, Dario Colonia takes an early lead, but Roman Alder and a couple of other young Swiss skiers and the rest of the field stay in touching distance. And shortly after, Alder moves past his idol into first place. While the professional skiers are already a few kilometres into the changed course, more and more amateurs keep arriving in the busy start area in Silverplana. Among them, Michael Ackerman, who is in awe of the big crowds. There are so many people, but it's so well organised and the people are really friendly. It's great. Poppy Cross is also getting ready for her first Engadine, and wave after wave of new groups embark on their personal Engadine ski marathon journeys. It's an impressive sight. Thousands of cross-country enthusiasts slowly making their way onto the modified 40-kilometre course in these treacherous conditions. In the meantime, a group of three skiers, Flora Dolce, Engadine local Juliana Vera and France's Maëlle Vert, have made a break in the women's field and charge ahead at full steam. The men's race is still wide open, and for now, young Swiss skier Fabrizio Albacini manages to maintain his blistering speed, leading ahead of his teammate Nicola Vega and a group of four other skiers, among them their compatriot Dario Colonia and three Norwegians. Around the 15-kilometre mark, the six leading men catch up with the chasing group of the women's pro race and move past them with ease. At this point, Albacini and Vega are still leading the charge, but the group of six stay close together. Further back in the field, around Saint-Moritz, the pace isn't quite as frantic, and hundreds of amateurs give it their best on their personal Engadine ski marathon adventure. Despite the heavy snowfall, the support along the course is as good as ever, and buoyed by the cheering fans, thousands of skiers make their way through the Engadin's picturesque winter wonderland. Around 22 kilometres into the race after coming off the golf course round near Samadan, the leading 6 men catch up with the top 3 women and spearhead the race from now on in. With Norway's Thomas Bucher Johannesson, there's now a new leader at the front of the field, but the lead group with the 3 Norwegian and 3 Swiss skiers stick close together. Flora Dolci, Juliana Vera and Maya Ver still hold on to their lead in the women's race, and even in these challenging conditions the trio has found a good rhythm. Pushing hard on some of the strenuous uphills, 21-year-old Maya Ver now takes control of the race. The French skier moving ahead, and together with Switzerland's Juliana Vera, they now leave the earlier leader Flora Dolci behind. As 24-year-old Dolci struggles to keep up, the French-Swiss duo of Ver and Vero are now very much in control of the race. Back in the Stadtwald, skiers from around the world keep up the spirit despite the tough weather conditions. Cheered on by the crowds, the camaraderie among them couldn't be better. And for all of them, this will be an unforgettable experience that will live with them for the rest of their lives. Up at the front, the lead's changed again, and Norway's Matchday is now leading the group of 6, followed by his countrymen Philip Andersen and Thomas Johannesson Bucher. Also still in the mix, Switzerland's cross-country legend Dario Calogna and the 2 youngsters Fabrizio Albacini and Nicola Viga. They've left their teammate Roman Alder out of this sight. But then it's Matchday who picks up the pace and moves away from the 5 skiers behind him, possibly landing a decisive blow only a few kilometres before the line. Hager keeps up his strong stride, entering the finish area. His compatriot Thomas Johannesson Bucher trying everything to close the gap. But it's not enough, and 29-year-old Matchday wins his first ever Engadin ski marathon ahead of Thomas Johannesson Bucher in 2nd place. Philip Andersen completes the Norwegian podium, snatching away 3rd place from Dario Calogna in the final few metres.
I felt like it went from 100 to 6 people in just a moment, so that was kind of good for us. And Engadin Marathon is a special race, so it's really fun to have that victory.
After a challenging race, Roman Alder also reaches the finish line 9 minutes after the winner in 26th place. In the women's race, France's Maya Ver has managed to put a bit of distance between herself and Juliana Vera and Italy's Federica Sanfilippo. The 21-year-old is fighting hard to keep her control, and after a long and tiring race, she manages to maintain her lead all the way to the finish area, where she celebrates her first ever Engadin ski marathon victory. Last year's winner, Juliana Vera from Switzerland, can't quite repeat that success, but crosses the line in 2nd place to celebrate her 2nd consecutive Engadin podium. Federica Sanfilippo takes 3rd, but the star of the day is Maya Ver. I'm very happy I've won this race. I wasn't really expecting too much, as there was a big group of girls, some of them big names. So yeah, it's nice that it worked out for me. As the winners celebrate their Engadin ski marathon victories, more and more amateur cross-country skiers reach the finish line. After more than 4 hours on the 40-kilometre course, ALeague Michael Acken also manages to finish his first ever Engadina. Well, I have to say, it was hard. The wind, the snow, all of it. But I'm really proud. Right, the afternoon skier after skier crosses the line, and each single one of them celebrates their own personal victory of completing the 54th Engadine Ski Marathon.
تتابعون ضمن الدوري التركي لكرة الطائرة للسيدات، كما يلقب بدور السلاطين، وهو أفضل دوري للسيدات في تركيا والعالم. غالاتا سراي مع كوزيبورو الأربعاء 6 مساء على دبي الرياضية.
أهلا بكم مشاهدينا الكرام في استاد الدوري.
في استاد الدوري
الشارقة في الدوري ليس هو الشارقة اللي يفترض عليها.
يجتمع أفضل المحللين والخبراء في عالم المستديرة.
لاعب بطريقة مختلفة لأول مرة يلعب فيها.
يتناقشون،
إذا يتعادلوا يطلعوا الاثنين من المنافسين.
يحللون.
الأرقام بالنسبة للفريق المنافس متقاربة مع أرقام فريق نادي الوصل، يلعب باثنين محاور 6.
يقدمون آرائهم التي تسلط الضوء على منافسات دوري المحترفين والكرة الإماراتية. استاد الدوري على دبي الرياضية.
الحين تبدأ المنافسة.
قرار واحد يغير لك النتيجة. تتجرأ تاخذ الخطوة؟ لا تتسرع، فكر أكثر وخذ قرارك. صناديق قدامك كلها مفاجآت. الحظ بيساعدك، الذكاء والجرأة هم سلاحك، المفتاح بإيدك والخيار لك. بتختار صح؟ اللعبة فيها فرص وايد، لكن الفوز بالجائزة الكبرى هو الهدف. جاهزين للتحدي؟ وهذا آخر كلام.
آخر كلام يوميا عند منتصف الليل بتوقيت دبي، معا في رمضان. للاشتراك في برنامج آخر كلام ارسل كلمة دبي على الأرقام التالية، أو اتصل على الأرقام التالية.
من مركز الأخبار التابع لدبي للإعلام، أنا محمد المهيري أحييكم، وهذه نشرة الأخبار الرياضية وإليكم العناوين. سعيد صفر يفوز بلقب سباق الدراجات الهوائية ضمن دورة ندي الشبا الرياضية. بعد خروج حامل اللقب اكتمال عقد المتأهلين إلى ربع نهائي كأس منصور بن زايد لكرة القدم. أكد معالي الشيخ حمدان بن مبارك آل نهيان رئيس اتحاد الإمارات لكرة القدم على ضرورة التركيز خلال مباراتي منتخبي إيران وكوريا الشمالية وتقديم الأداء المناسب الذي يضمن تحقيق المنتخب لأهدافه في هذه المرحلة من التصفيات المؤهلة إلى نهائيات كأس العالم 2026. جاء ذلك خلال لقاء معاليه أعضاء الجهاز الفني والإداري ولاعبي منتخبنا الوطني في مقر إقامتهم في منطقة جبل علي بحضور نائبي الرئيس وأعضاء مجلس الإدارة. أصدر سمو الشيخ فلاح بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس نادي غنتوت لسباق الخيل والبولو قرارا بإعادة تشكيل مجلس إدارة نادي غنتوت لسباق الخيل والبولو برئاسة سموه وعضوية كل من سعادة سعيد بن حوفان المنصوري نائبا للرئيس، وعيسى حسن المنصوري وزايد خليف الزعابي وعامر حسين الصيعري أعضاء، وخالد سعيد المرزوقي عضوا منتدبا ومديرا تنفيذيا. وتمتد فترة التشكيل الجديد لمجلس الإدارة لمدة 3 سنوات ويجوز تمديدها لمدة مماثلة. فاز الدراج سعيد صفر من فريق شرطة دبي بلقب سباق الدراجات الهوائية ضمن فعاليات النسخة 12 من دورة ند الشبه الرياضية، الحدث الرياضي الأكبر من نوعه والذي يقام سنويا خلال شهر رمضان المبارك. وتمكن سعيد صفر من التفوق في السباق الذي شهد مشاركة 1200 دراج من الإماراتيين والمقيمين من الرجال والنساء، سواء من الهواة أو المحترفين من لاعبي الأندية، لينتزع اللقب، فيما حل الدراج راشد البلوشي في المركز الثاني، ومن خلفه حل ماجد الخاطري في المركز الثالث. تأهل فريق الهلال إلى الدور نصف النهائي من بطولة الكرة الطائرة التي تقام على الصالة الرئيسية بمجمع ند الشبه الرياضي. وتمكن فريق الهلال من التأهل بعد فوزه على فريق التداوي 2 ب3 أشواط مقابل شوط واحد، وذلك بواقع 25 مقابل 21 و25 مقابل 17 و30 مقابل 28 و25 مقابل 13، محققا فوزه الثاني في البطولة من مواجهتين، وليقترب خطوة من تحقيق لقب البطولة التي يشارك فيها لاعبو أعرق الأندية الأوروبية. تمكن فريق الحرس الوطني من تصدر ترتيب مجموعته في بطولة شد الحبل ضمن منافسات فئة الدوائر والمؤسسات الحكومية، حيث فاز على فريق الدفاع المدني برأس الخيمة بنتيجة 2-0، كما فاز فريق الدفاع المدني بدبي على فريق مؤسسة دبي للإعلام بنتيجة 2-0. وفي الجولة الثانية فاز فريق الدفاع المدني برأس الخيمة على فريق مؤسسة دبي للإعلام بنتيجة 2-0، كما فاز فريق شرطة دبي على فريق الدفاع المدني بدبي بنتيجة 2-0. بمشاركة أكثر من 2000 متسابق ومتسابقة، اختتم على مضمار أكاديمية شرطة دبي سباق الجري لمسافة 5 كيلومترات لفئتي الرجال والسيدات، والذي يعد من الفعاليات المهمة ضمن الألعاب الرمضانية التي ينظمها مركز التميز الرياضي في شرطة دبي، بالإضافة إلى 23 لعبة رياضية مختلفة تقام في مختلف مناطق دبي. وشهد سباق الجري مشاركة كبيرة من كافة أفراد المجتمع ومن مختلف الجنسيات والأعمار، تنافسوا في أجواء حماسية مميزة. وفي ختام السباق قام العميد بدران الشامسي مساعد القائد العام لشؤون الأكاديمية والتدريب وعدد من الضباط والقيادات الرياضية بتكريم أصحاب المراكز الأولى لسباق الجري، إلى جانب تتويج أبطال منافسات الرماية والشطرنج.
اليوم القيادة العامة لشرطة دبي ممثلة في أكاديمية شرطة دبي احتضنت أكثر من 2000 متسابق في سباق الجري لمسافة 5 كيلومتر. الحمد لله اليوم المشاركين كانوا مستعدين، والأكاديمية كانت مستعدة لاستقبال هذا العدد، وهذا طبعا يعني إنجاز يضاف إلى القيادة العامة لشرطة دبي التي تخلق المساحات للمشاركات المجتمعية والرياضية. يعني هذا واحد من الالتزامات الرئيسية على القيادة العامة لشرطة دبي في المشاركات المجتمعية والرياضة، وتوجيهات السامية لحكومتنا وقيادتنا الرشيدة في خلق مدينة دبي وجميع مدن الإمارات كمدن رياضية تمارس الرياضة بشكل مستمر.
نحن أساسا من البداية شهر رمضان غير أنه شهر البركة والصحة، بما أنه هو شهر الصحة وشهر الرياضة، فأكيد أنا بدعو الناس دائما أنهم يشاركوا بأي فعاليات رياضية، خصوصا ما بعد الإفطار، لحتى يكسروا أي عادات سيئة كانوا يقوموا فيها بأي رمضان سابق.
النشرة متواصلة وفيها بعد الفاصل. برشلونة بصفوف كاملة يستعد لزيارة أتلتيكو مدريد في الدوري الإسباني.
السباق البحري الأكثر إثارة في العالم ينطلق مجددا من لوس أنجلوس. قوارب شراعية بتقنيات عالية وسرعات قياسية تتنافس على لقب البطولة للفوز بالجائزة الكبرى. سباق CLGB الاثنين والثلاثاء 1 بعد منتصف الليل مباشرة على دبي الرياض. جولة أسبوعية بالأرقام على مباريات دوري آدنوك للمحترفين. قراءة فنية لأداء الفرق للتعرف على أسباب الفوز والخسارة، نقاط القوة والضعف، ومن كان الأفضل والأسوأ خلال الأسبوع بالأرقام. سكاوتينج على دبي الرياضية.
أهلا بكم من جديد. ودع مكتب الشؤون القانونية بطل النسخة الماضية من كأس منصور بن زايد لكرة القدم المنافسات من مرحلة المجموعات بعدما خسر مباراته في الوقت القاتل أمام قطاع المشاريع الهندسية والفنية بهدف دون رد في آخر مواجهة المجموعة الرابعة. كما تأهل مكتب شؤون المواطنين والمجتمع بعد فوزه برباعية على قطاع الخدمات المساندة. وكانت قرعة دور الثمانية قد أوقعت فريق مكتب الأمين العام والأرشيف في مواجهة المكتبة الوطنية، فيما سيكون اللقاء الثاني بين مدارس الإمارات الوطنية وقطاع المشاريع الهندسية والفنية. أما المباراة الثالثة فتجمع دائرة القضاء بمكتب الشؤون الخاصة، وتختتم الأمسية بمباراة بين مكتب شؤون المواطنين والمجتمع وقطاع الشؤون المالية والمشتريات.
نحن حاليا تقريبا وصلنا إلى نصف البطولة. ملامح الفرق اللي نقول مثلا الفرق اللي هي القوية اللي احتمال فرصتها بالفوز أكبر يعني تقريبا ظهرت. عندنا دور الثمانية إن شاء الله يوم الأحد. دور الثمانية بتكون مباريات مضغوطة، هي عبارة عن 4 مباريات للفرق اللي تأهلت أوائل المجموعات وثواني المجموعات، كلها في يوم واحد 4 مباريات من غير أوقات إضافية. بتكون 20 دقيقة 20 دقيقة، وإذا في أي تعادلات بتتحول إلى ضربات ترجيحية. نقول حظوفر الفرق اللي غادرت، ونقول للجماهير حياكم الله. نحن عندنا إن شاء الله من دور الثمانية سحب للجماهير، جوائز للجماهير وجوائز قيمة إن شاء الله بتكون.
في إسبانيا تدرب برشلونة على أرضه قبل السفر إلى العاصمة مدريد لزيارة مضيفه العنيد أتلتيكو مدريد في الجولة 28 من الدوري الإسباني لكرة القدم. يتصدر برشلونة الدوري ب57 نقطة من 26 مباراة ولديه مباراة مؤجلة، بينما يحتل مضيفه أتلتيكو مدريد المركز الثالث ب56 نقطة من 27 مباراة. ويتطلع برشلونة المنتشي بتأهله إلى ربع نهائي دوري أبطال أوروبا إلى الفوز على مضيفه الصعب ليعزز آماله في الفوز بلقب الدوري هذا الموسم.
أقول هذا دائما عن أندية الدوري الإسباني، إنهم يعرفون كيف يلعبون كرة قدم. ليس من السهل الفوز على كل هذه الفرق لأنهم يمتلكون شيئا مميزا، هذا أمر جيد. نحن الآن في وضع ممتاز ومستوانا جيد وبل رائع. أنا سعيد جدا بذلك إذا كنا مركزين وقدم كل لاعب أفضل ما لديه. أعتقد أن لدينا إمكانيات كبيرة في الفريق.
سجل سائق فريق ماكلارين البريطاني لاندو نوريس أسرع وقت في الجولة التأهيلية لسباق جائزة أستراليا الكبرى للفورمولا 1 والتي جرت على حلبة ألبرت بارك بمدينة ملبورن. وحل زميل نوريس في الفريق ابن مدينة ملبورن أوسكار بياستري في المركز الثاني، فيما حل سائق سيارة ريد بول المدافع عن لقب العالم ماكس فيرستابن ثالثا. في المقابل سينطلق بطل العالم السابق البريطاني لويس هامilton من المركز الثامن في سباقه الأول ضمن فريق فيراري. تمكن مارك ماركيز من إحراز مركز الانطلاق الأول في سباق جائزة الأرجنتين الكبرى، محققا فوزه الثاني على التوالي في هذا المركز منذ عام 2019 ليسجل رقما قياسيا جديدا على حلبة الأرجنتين. وسجل بطل العالم 6 مرات الزمن الأسرع في دقيقة و36 ثانية ليكون هذا التوقيت هو الأول من نوعه في تاريخ الحلبة، فيما جاء شقيقه أليكس ماركيز في المركز الثاني مع فريق غريسيني ريسينج، بينما احتل الفرنسي يوهان زاركو سائق فريق LCR هوندا المركز الثالث. فاز الدراج الأسترالي مايكل ستورر بالمرحلة السابعة من سباق باريس نيس للدراجات الهوائية، والتي تم تقليص مسافتها بسبب سوء الأحوال الجوية، وحقق الأسترالي فوزه الأول منذ 2023 وتقدم من المركز الثالث عشر إلى الرابع في الترتيب العام، كما حافظ جورجنسون على القميص الأصفر حيث تقلص تقدمه بشكل طفيف إلى 37 ثانية عن الألماني فلوريان لوبوفيتس، وأنهى ثيمين أرنسمان السباق مع ماتيو جورجنسون ليظل في المركز الثالث بالترتيب العام. أنهت المصنفة الأولى عالميا أرينا زابالينكا سلسلة انتصارات المصنفة الخامسة ماديسون كيز، والتي استمرت 16 مباراة بفوزها على الأمريكية في نصف نهائي بطولة إنديان ويلز للتنس. وفي إعادة لنهائي بطولة أستراليا المفتوحة الذي أقيم في يناير، حسمت زابالينكا المباراة التي استغرقت 52 دقيقة بنتيجة 6-0 و6-1 لتلحق بكيز أول خسارة لها منذ بطولة أوكلاند. البيلاروسية تأهلت بذلك إلى نهائي إنديان ويلز للمرة الثانية وستواجه ميرا أندريفا. بدورها تمكنت اللاعبة الشابة ميرا أندريفا من إيقاف مسيرة حاملة اللقب البولندية إيغا شيفيونتك في سعيها للفوز بلقبها الثالث في إنديان ويلز للتنس، بعد أن فازت عليها بواقع 7-3 و6-3 و6-1 لتتأهل إلى النهائي. وبهذا الفوز أنهت أندريفا سلسلة انتصارات شيفيونتك التي استمرت 10 مباريات في إنديان ويلز، كما حققت أندريفا فوزها الثاني على شيفيونتك في غضون 3 أسابيع بعد أن فازت عليها في ربع نهائي بطولة دبي. حقق فريق فينيكس سانز الانتصار ب 122 نقطة مقابل 106 نقاط على ضيفه ساكرامنتو كينجز في لقائهما في دور الرابطة الوطنية لكرة السلة. سجل ديفن بوكر 22 نقطة، وأضاف زميله كيفن دورانت عددا مماثلا من النقاط ساعدت فريقهما على تحقيق الفوز، كما سجل تايس جونز 6 ثلاثيات من جملة 20 نقطة التي أحرزها لصالح فينيكس. في المقابل قاد ديمار دي روزان هجوم ساكرامنتو ب 23 نقطة، وأضاف زاك لافين 21 نقطة للفريق. بدوره حقق كليفلاند كافاليرز فوزه السادس عشر على التوالي في رقم قياسي للفريق بتغلبه على منفس غريزليز بنتيجة 133 نقطة مقابل 124، وسجل إيفان موبلي 22